The blossoms fall, and the black rose rises. Do you feel like the heroes of this story? Coming to save the day. You're pawns in a game that's already been decided. You will fight, as good soldiers do.
I will seal you away once more.
Your age has passed, Dark Enemy. Stay buried.
And you will fail, as mortals must. Your course was doomed the moment you left Demacia. And entered my world of thorns. Make your final stand and see how your story ends.
Go in for it, and here comes the steal.
วิทวิงวอลชันยังมันจะรีpemisah
ตรง
dunia
นี้ดิโนเวิร์ไฟหน้ามายังคงรอดชีวิตอยู่แต่ว่าไม่พอ
Defended as well, and even full commit is sticking.
Terminal, but they should try to look for a combo here. The dragon is stolen away. Yes, but the damage is gonna be enough. W does pick up Kratos.
You and Pikachu goes in, and here's the back set.
At the below in HP, is going to be taken down by Sterling already.
มันได้มาเรียวเด็กคุณไปเรียบร้อยชิปเปอร์ชันเข้ามาพร้อมชาโด
What's up, Summoners? Welcome to the break and stage phase of LCP World Cup Playoffs 2025. Back with me, Abigail, your host, and we will also have Contra as our analyst, and we will also have Manamo plus Madness as our casters. I mean, over the past 2 long days, 5 regions have been competing, and now only 3 regions remain in the battle for a spot in the LCP promotion and relegation event. And today, we will eliminate 1 more region before heading into tomorrow's grand final of the LCP World Cup Playoffs 2025 as Full Sense and Faerie Charm compete for a spot in the grand final. And as for the performance yesterday, it's going to be very interesting to see if Faerie Charm still has something up its sleeve, especially after tying with Full Sense, who looked very strong yesterday, Contra.
Yeah, overall, I think that they definitely had a great showing, but the other teams have finally found certain loopholes in the midst of their rotations to actually punish them with a couple of all these catches. So hopefully they've been able to, band-aid that as well as review some of all these kind of weaknesses that they had in order to triumph up ahead. I mean, being fair as well, that was a really close tie. The first game, we really saw a very convincing win between FRC versus Full Sense, and then it was game 2 that became a little bit more problematic because we start to see Full Sense really come together as a unit, and they really look great on those team fights too.
Yeah, and for the past 2 days too, we also saw how Faerie Charm always change their mid lane. I mean, they have Nekodesu, and also they also changed to another player, their substitute. And I expect today that will be Nekodesu full playing with FRC Manabo.
Yeah, I think Nekodesu really, players praise the name because he is the top 1 rank, if I'm not mistaken, right now. And not to discredit Stellar, he's also have a stellar performance, not pun intended there. But I think Nekodesu fits better with FRC composition and playstyle. That's why if Nekodesu playing today, so there might be a chance that FRC can help Full Sense step going into the grand final to see the rematch against Inferno Esports.
Well, that's gonna be very interesting. But looking forward for this today's matches between the Full Sense and also FRC, we will have something a little bit different because I mentioned it yesterday that we will have 1v1 set selection showdown. It's going to be a battle between the mid laners. So I'm very excited to see what kind of mid champion that they're gonna ban, or maybe which one they're gonna pick, Madness.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Any 1v1 is always a fun thing to watch, especially against these two battling it out. Before you go into a best of 5, that's going to set a lot of the pace for you going forward in that. I'm really excited to see how it goes. And yeah, Nekodesu will be playing. And like Manamo was saying, I think they're a completely different team with Nekodesu in it. Like, they look so much better right now because I think that's why they're more comfortable playing those kind of compositions. And I can't wait to see how this 1v1 goes because the rules are also interesting about it.
Yeah, but talking about those two teams, you also have a very interesting playstyle. I believe both of them also have some very, similar problems with their jungle. I mean, once their jungle being shut down, it's almost like over for Full Sense and also FRC to continue the game. And so I think that's going to be one of their obstacles. What do you think, Contra?
Well, overall, for the lack of a better word as well, these junglers from both sides have played a little bit more of a supportive role into amplifying each respective lanes. And I think from the series that we've had, the very final series between IE versus Full Sense, it really goes to show that the junglers are willing to really give their life in some of all these team fights in order to get up ahead. But I guess we get deeper into that kind of talk because we got the tournament format on our screens.
Yes, because we already finished the group stage, we're gonna move to the bracket stage, and this is going to be a single elimination, aka knockout system. A second and the third place from group stage play in the semifinal, and it will be Full Sense versus FRC, and winner faces the first place seed in the final, which is Inferno Esports. And both bracket matches we begin with a 1v1 set selection showdown, which is going to be very interesting as well. And all matches are best of 5 series using fearless draft. I mean, this is going to be very different. I believe the draft itself will be, much more collected with varieties. And I mean, we also gonna have a chance to see a cheesy pick maybe from each team. Okay, the Full Sense, Manamo, what do you think?
Yeah, I think other than cheese picks, I think I want to focus more on excellence. He has been a great top laner. I can say so far he's the best top laner in this LCP wildcard. So the matchup against Das in other side of Faerie Charm, Das maybe more of like utility top laner, playing Rumble, playing Sion. So I think the matchup itself in the top lane, and maybe, as you said, the draft, the cheesy pick on the top lane will decide this best of 5 series.
Well, to be honest, after excellence, I would like also to mention Ite, because the participation and contribution of this mid laner from Full Sense is also pretty big into the team fight madness.
Yeah, I think it is really, really good mid laner, and he has a good sense of how he's going in, especially the Annie that I saw him playing. Good Tiber's ultimate is coming in, good utility for his teammates. He's trying to flash in, trying to make those plays that start out the fights for the engagement, and we're going to get to see him in action in that 1v1 against Nico Disney. So this is going to be interesting to see how they started off, and yeah, these teams are going to clash pretty nice. And best of 5 village draft, right? You're going to go very deep into your champion pools. It goes deeper along the competition, and that is where it changes. Like you're saying, the cheesy picks, you're going to have some of those hidden tricks that they haven't revealed so far in the tournament.
Yep, and I saw lots of the differences between the playstyle from Faerie Charm when they have Stellar and also they have Nico Desu, but I would like to know what Contra thinks about the difference between these two players in Faerie Charm's effect, and also which one you prefer most.
I think like both styles are pretty unique to their own. I wouldn't say which one is better than the other, but Nico Desu definitely shows a lot more proactivity into visiting the side lanes, and there are certain picks that he actually goes for that can actually benefit the team in the form of team fights. And there are also picks like the Aurora, which you saw increases the kind of tempo of play, whereas once we actually get the style that Stellar plays, a little bit more of the traditional mages that we've seen, like the Aria, so it still amplifies, pick-up potential, but I just think that Nico is just a little bit more proactive in that sense.
Yeah, but I think that should be very more interesting because those two teams, whoever wins this series, will face Inferno Esports. I mean, Inferno Esports yesterday was only lose one game against Full Sense, and they stand very strong on the group stage, and I believe this is going to be kind of a rematch for Inferno Esports if they have a chance to meet Full Sense again in the grand final, or it will be another practically like a mechanical playstyle with Inferno Esports versus Faerie Charm. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Inferno Esports showing that they can bleed against Full Sense, but overall, like they play with Crimson and Celeste, both of these two mid laner, showing that they can fit the team well, and maybe it can add a variation to their champion pool.
Yep, and for today's schedule, we only have one match, which is Full Sense versus FRC, because today Inferno Esports will be waiting for today's winner to join them in the grand final. This is going to be a very good time for Inferno Esports to track what kind of drop in best of 5 series from Full Sense and also FRC, which kind of pick that they want to do for tomorrow. Because if you play at a best of 2 series and a best of 5 series, this is going to be a very different draft of pick session, the madness.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be, and more importantly, they get a day off, right? They get a day to relax, as well as that they can, from the comfortable homes, watch other teams play, use their strategies that way, and then we're going to see them playing out in best of 5, unlike just the 2 games in the series that was done during the group stage. So I think this is them having that advantage, and they deserve that advantage given how they blazed through the group stage, only dropping that 1 game in the last series that they played. So that's the advantage you get for hitting that final stage earlier on.
Yep, and I think this is going to be this start of the today for Inferno Esports to check what kind of playstyle that Full Sense and FRC still has up their sleeves. And I'm personally kind of very excited with the 1v1 side selection showdown. I mean, this is my very first time to have a 1v1 selection showdown, because usually we just toss a coin, or maybe you just see through their performance which one who will pick the side, who will just receive the rest of the upcoming moment. But for 1v1 side selection showdown, I don't think this is going to be a solid moment for both teams, because you just gonna swap it as the game goes on, Contra.
Well, if you ask me, this is the best way to do it. I mean, like, teams always have that kind of ego. It's like, my mid laner is better than yours. No, mine is actually better. So you get to sort and also build up a little bit more of that mind games heading into the series. And this has become the tradition of the LCP. This is exclusive for the region. You know, like no other region actually does it our way. So I think that there's definitely a beauty in it. So of course, kudos to the guys here in Riot Games who have actually thought like, hey, this format to kickstart selection is really some of the best ways out. And you gotta also think that sure, maybe certain coaches have gotten ideas like, okay, what happens when we do start on the blue side or the red side? They've already have like some sort of drafts in mind. So maybe if they were to really have a side heavy kind of selection, right? Like if they prefer the blue side or the red side, and this kind of gives a little bit more of intensity onto that 1v1, like, hey bro, you gotta win us that side or else, like, man, our drafts might just be turned into something absolutely different from what we planned for tonight.
That would be a point. And I also remember back then, probably many years ago, I used to see a team that actually kind of love the blue side, because yeah, you can get a very big prior pick and also the better picks, but there also any other team who prefers to be on the red side because they just want to react and adapt based on what their opponents pick more.
Yeah, I think in this tournament, actually, the red side is a little bit more popular. We saw how teams playing on blue side, and they were the one who reacting, counter drafting, and just responding, because you got the first pick on the blue side, but the red side got a second and third pick, got a 2 pick in a row, and they got the last pick also. So I think if the teams either Full Sense or Faerie Charm can utilize this momentum and pick, I think, the first game, because it's gonna cement it who's gonna be on the top, at least from the draft itself.
But let's talk about which one you prefer, Madness. Would you pick the blue side or red side?
Honestly, I have always had a preference for blue side as well, but most teams in my region at least do prefer red. Like Man was saying, red is what they prefer. They like to do that counter. You said they get 1 pick, but you're getting 2 picks at the same time, so you can counter like that. You had the last pick where you can get your counter pick for yourself, so that's a nice strategy to go in. Blue side is if you have that one champion you just really want to lock in earlier on, if it just makes it past the banning stage, and you can get that advantage for yourself. And I think if teams have hidden tech like that, maybe in the third or fourth game in the best of 5, that's where the blue side starts to shine really nicely.
Yeah, and I think that kind of aligned with the performance of Full Sense, because as far as I saw their performance in the last 2 days, they played better on the blue side. What do you think, Control?
Well, I think they've also had some of all these games that were won over on the red side, and when you are actually picking sides, you're not only thinking about the draft itself, like what is the focus when it comes down to objective priority? Are you focusing a little bit more on the grubs as well as the Rift Herald to really snowball your game in the form of tempo? Or are you actually making sure that you secure as many of these drakes possible coming into the riverside? So blue side selection, definitely naturally you could just bypass the wall in order to try to steal or just get to secure a little bit more of that wiggle room. But then again, even on the red side, you got maybe a little bit more priority for objectives like the Baron. So these are definitely some small nuances where when you go into the top level play, maybe it does not matter too much in the sense it's really down to how well they actually gain control over the map. But these are just some tiny little things that these teams would absolutely prefer. So going back to the draft as well, sometimes if you're playing on blue, maybe you have some really cheeky strats. That's where you really get to flex your ideas, like coming with 2 flex picks, and then you can just do some switcheroos.
Yeah, and I'm also very, kind of curious about what kind of pick that this mid laner will do during the 1v1 set selection, and who will win the site selection as well. And talking about the group set standings yesterday, in case you are not following, we already passed 2 days, and we've had long matches between Inferno Esports, Full Sense, Faerie Charm, Berhadapan, and so I said UL Esports. I mean that the last 2 days, and especially yesterday, was very beautiful, written by those 5 regions, because I said UL finally can get 1 point, and Berhadapan finally get a big improvement in terms of their play style, in terms of the tempo, and not to mention about how they kind of relaxing. I mean, kind of back to the sense of their nature of League of Legends. And for Faerie Charm, yes, yesterday was a downside for them because all of us would agree that the top three will be full sense, aka the Thailand and also Singapore and Malaysia, and then not to mention the Philippines. But we don't really expect to be on, or at least me, for FRC to be, that down contra.
Well, if you take a look at their gameplay, I think it has convinced us that they are really, really good at team fighting. The question is, how do they really get to the point where they are stable enough? I think when we look back into some of the series that they played out, Yang Depal has also proven the point that, hey, if we play super fast tempo, if we force plenty of fights to happen, maybe we can actually break these guys before they look for those snowball team fights. I mean, they always look for 5v5s, but if you were to snatch 1-2 players away every single time, it makes things harder to do for the side of FRC, and that kind of dented a little bit of their hopes to make a better statement coming into the standings. But when we take a look at even the series itself, they can kind of match that tempo too. When you take a look at a game where they've been able to secure the Pantheon in the hands of Reverie, they are able to actually have instant impact into the matchup. So we will really want to take a look at whether or not can they get some great priorities on both sides of the jungle.
Yeah, that would be a very interesting point because if you took how many matches Pantheon pick will be between these two five regions. I mean, if you got a first pick of a Pantheon, that will play a very big important role on your team fights. And I think for a team kind of like Inferno Esports in a full sense, and as well as the FRC, they just want to secure that. But first, we move to 1v1 site selection showdown. I would like to explain a little bit more about that because in this section, players will decide right to site selection through a 1v1 showdown, offering an element of skill to site selection. So the players can only pick only from the mid lane champion pool for 1v1s, and they have to ban 3 champions for each players. So that's going to be very interesting. So for the pool mid lane champions will be widely open, but that's the limitation that you also facing up. 3 bans for each player, and after that you pick one. So talking about the mid lane champions of League of Legends, that's going to be very interesting. For me, I would like to see the battle of Anivia or maybe Echo or maybe Feast. Because I will be too bored if we see Ahri match up, because Ahri is a very classic mid lane champions madness.
Yeah, it is, and it's something that they're both mid laners, right? So they're going to get used to both the champion pool. I wonder if it's a gentleman's handshake about what they want to be playing out for themselves in this matchup between them, and it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be getting, this side. Like as Contra was saying, it is important if you have certain draft strategies where you prefer one side over another. That does set the tone for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and in addition to that, I would like to add more information regarding the 1v1 win conditions. So a match ends immediately when one of the following happens. So it is sort of like the standard rules. A player gets 2 kills, a player destroys the opponent's turret, the game will be end, and if the game reaches 7 minutes, a sudden death rules begin. First kills or first turret takes the win, and a ring of fire will close into the center of the map, dealing massive damage to health. So the first one to die will lose the game. This is going to be very exciting, but
Yeah, and especially if you look at the champion pool, maybe you're talking about Anivia, about the control mage. I personally would like to see like this Akali Diana, who really assassin type and really fast to execute.
Mechanic!
And the mechanic, that's it, that's the game. It's IT versus Naked Death, so we'll see if there's gonna be a high tempo or they just wait for the Ring of Fire to came.
And I would like to hear contrast opinion about these 2 assassin matchup.
Well, when you take a look at the Assassin matchup, it makes a whole lot more sense. When you're going for Akali, you don't really need to worry about mana, whereas as a Diana, you would need to be a little bit more conservative to make sure that you actually hit all these kind of Moonlight Assaults as well, and you do have a little bit more of the defensive maneuver at the same time. You were to pop the W, get some shield downs, and here we go into our first side selection between Ite versus Nekodesu, and this is gonna look absolutely bonkers when we go down to how they go for the brawl. And take a look at this. Those sides are starting off with Ignite as well as Barrier.
Yeah, and I would, to be honest, since the four of us are in this 1v1 showdown side selection, so I'm gonna leave control for casting. Anyone who wants to join, if there is Manamo and Matters, you are very open to it. But I would like to train Contra, because I mean that was set for control.
What? What are you saying over here, Abby? But also, I think Ite's strategy is interesting. He's picked up 2 Doran's rings coming into the matchup over here.
Oh, that's absolutely interesting, and that really does help him in the form of mana regeneration. So he doesn't really have to worry about, you know, falling out without any form of trading. And speaking of trading, Neko bringing back up to 30% already, and this might just be first blood. The Ignite not enough to take him down.
Oh, that would be hurt for Akali, and 1 kill for Diana will be a big advantage. But talking about this Wolf for a second, I would like to, you know, drop all of my chips to Akali. Is from KDA, and I love KDA, man.
Yeah, I'll just gonna enjoy Contra cast mode in this 1v1. So Contra, please. I really enjoy your play-by-play, man.
Oh.
Let's go, Contra. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can switch roles from time to time. I'm just kidding. Well, right now, Ite definitely in the lead, and you're already looking at Neko needing to really find a little bit more leeway to try not to drop out, so he has to force his way back to base, and that allows Ite to already secure the first chunk of the turret plating.
Yeah, this is going to be very bad because of the 2 plays. Yeah, 2 plays.
I didn't know we had recalls actually in this mode. That's interesting to see.
Yeah, and of course there's also the side potions allowed, since it's still Howling Abyss, essentially. So 2 deaths or first to 7 minutes with the first kill. Now Nekodesu, he's already lost a little bit of that plating, so he cannot afford to, you know, be a little bit more passive. I think in that certain situation, surely he does not have any form of advantage up against Diana, but he came back coming out with the Haunting Geist into a Landry's later on, so I believe that could actually give him a little bit more an edge in the front of folks, but I don't think the Diana wants to really draw it out.
Is he trying to, you know, pull some cash and then just dive aggressively towards Diana?
Probably so. Then again, you gotta take a look at another perfect setup coming in. Ite getting those resets down, and Nekodesu comes in to be soaking all that moonfall, and once again the Ignite popping him low, and he cannot afford to stay too long, but the turret is at risk right now. We're looking at the second plating to go over to the side of Ite, and he's looking for the first blood already. What is Neko gonna do right now?
Wow, this is going to be very tough for Nekodes, right? Is he, every time they clash, Nekodes always lose lots of HP, and he always in defending state. And oh, control!
Here comes. Well, first slash of the perfect execution. He's not looking for a second one, and he's already dropping very low on the crescent slash, and he has to burn off the second charge instead. Neko, you gotta make use of the second health bar as well. I mean, he can't afford to fall twice, but I believe he does not have enough time, and that's first blood for Ite.
Well, that's going to be very bad, to be honest, Fatness, because look at the how many platings that the turret of Nekodes would have. This is going to
the
be
CS differences there. He's gonna even maybe pick up the first turret against the turret's gonna go down. That should be it for this 1v1. It was the shortest side here, Contra.
Yeah, it really goes to show that Ite has really gotten the firm control from the get-go. Like, in the form of a 1v1 matchup, I just think that Ite knows that, you know, he does have an edge when it comes down to the trades based on the kit of the Diana versus Akali, which needs energy to really charge up, and also those auto attacks. But then again, if you got those shields, you don't really have much to worry about.
Yeah, and not to mention about the range of her skills that always reach a Kali on pointly. And since Full Sense picked the blue side after winning the 1v1 set selection showdown, I think it's going to be very interesting. And to be honest, this kind of giving Full Sense an advantage because they can, directly secure Pantheon if FRC not at it, manable.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of power picks also. We mentioned Ite, we saw him playing Silas really well yesterday, and also there's Excellence who always gonna love to get the first pick, but as you said, there's a power pick like Pantheon, maybe Yunara if it left open. So yeah, for Full Sense, I think blue side suits them better.
Yeah, Silas indeed plays a very big role in the team fight because whenever he steals a vital skills from the opponent, and especially like for example a tidal wave from Nami, it is going to be a very game-changing skills like Madness.
Yeah, definitely. Dial away from Nami, the run ultimate. These are things that can change, how the team fights will be looking, and your combos, your wombo combos. Like the Wukong has been a favorite throughout most of this tournament, and rightfully so. The setup is so good with the Cyclone. It depends on how you go. And a lot of early game junglers are coming in. We know that we have a more supportive type of junglers in both these teams, and it's for them to try and get their other lanes ahead. So it depends how early a jungle you have, like the Zinjao or J4. You can just go fast. It depends on the priority of which side your ganks in, get that lane ahead, and then focus on the other jungle side objective.
Yeah, but despite about the Excellence and also Ite, I would like also to talk about View and also Blondie as one of their pillar from Full Sense because we've seen lots of things that kind of works only from Excellence and View, how they set the tempo of the game. Excellence got his way on the top lane, and also View also support him, and everything works really well on that kind of tempo. But for Faerie Charm, I think this is going to be more like flexible in FRC's hand because when you have a Nicodes and also Zavasky, this is going to be a very aggressive yet controlled because you have many ways to open or to initiate your opponent control.
Yeah, there's just so many adaptations coming in for not only FRC but also for Full Sense altogether. Because you talk about a potential of a carry jungle. I think Full Sense back in the last series that they played out up against IE, they went for something like a Viego. So it really shows that hey, they can actually go for these kind of pickups. And also, mind you, I remember there was also some points where Full Sense could also pick up something like a Lee Sin, which is a very early game centric kind of style that can basically maybe give them an edge. Going towards the side of FRC, we've seen a lot of Nocturnes being played out. We've seen a lot of Wukong. I think right now, in the best of 5, you can't afford to just go in stock standard because maybe in a certain type of drafts, you might actually see those coaches say, okay, we will never ever let, say, example, Lee Sin to ever get through. Then, if you're really banking on those hopes, then you really gotta sort out, okay, what could potentially be something that can actually get FRC those kind of activation. So far, Nicodes is looking really great. That's fine. Now, Zavasky also needs a little bit of help for him to really gain that form of edge. But right now, this bottom lane matchup between Blondie as well as Zavasky is going to matter a whole lot more because when you take a look at both sides, they kind of have certain same ideologies. It's really down to execution. And the last time they met, we were also seeing equal footing. It's down to that one final fight that kind of broke FRC apart. So now FRC is looking for their revenge, but FS, they started the side selection, all thanks to Ite.
Yeah, all thanks to Ite, and they just took Aurora. What an interesting pick from Full Sense, and I think because we saw yesterday that Aurora also played on the top lane, this is going to be a flex pick probably from Full Sense, whether they want to put Aurora on the mid lane for Ite or maybe just give it to Excellence, which for me, I don't think that would happen because if you have Excellence, it would be better for him to play like a Bruiser, a top lane champion, Manamo.
Yeah, and also the Rumble and Yunara pick that we mentioned earlier, this is the favorite for Das and Zavasky. We saw Zavasky how FRC can babysit their AD carry, and the response is just like we talked earlier. The Illusion Nami is out for Full Sense, and Blondie and Yuyusaki, I think they were a great duo. They know how to complement each other at their lane. So it's gonna be down into the jungle because I think I want to mention the referee from FRC. There's a little bit ups and downs on his performance, so I think this is gonna be crucial because Wukong, the champion that he really likes to play, is already been banned. So yeah, they maybe need to find another engaged champion for referee.
Yeah, but for full sense, they also lock two strong dual lane champions, which is Lucian and Nami. It provides full support towards the team fight and also the game-changing abilities from the tidal wave. Not to mention Lucian's on late game has quite crazy damage output madness.
Yeah, it has a lot. That bot lane is a very strong lane. It's one of the oldest kind of combos you have in the bot side, right? With the Lucian, the Nami going for yourself. I like the Nautilus pickup coming because technically right now it's technically a flex pick because it can still go jungle wise, right? Just giving how the patches are, and that is what is making it easy. I never thought I'd say Nautilus is a flex pick, but here we are. It is going to be flexing there. The Silas and Orion run makes sense. You're denying at least one half the combo of the Nocturne Orion in case the Nocturne does come in. The Silas prevents you from stealing ultimates like the Aurora or whatever you're going to pick up later. So I think the draft is going fairly nicely right now.
Yeah, fairly nice. And also for FRC, they've banned the Silas. I think this is a very good ban because FRC, I barely seen FRC play with Silas, but you indeed know Ite is very good with Silas contra.
Yeah, overall, I think both mid laners can actually play that Silas, and we're looking at what a lot of big ultimates left here on the table. So you kind of don't want to give their side, a free equalizer out of nowhere, because we've seen what Full Sense could have actually pulled out, and they absolutely respect the potential of what Ite has brought out. Now, it also goes to show that FRC has got such a good read that, hey, that Aurora probably will be flexed anyways towards the top lane, so they will just double down, secure the Galio for Neko Desu, and now without that Silas, they don't really have that kind of matchup that is too worrisome over the mid lane.
Yeah, for Galio itself, it still can be put on the mid lane. So I would like to see if Nicodes can play Galio on mid lane because this is good. I don't think FRC is already opened their strategy madness.
Yeah, and I like this coming in. You can see that you have a lot. You can just go in. Like your engage is really nice. You have a Nautilus, you have a Galio with the follow. Right now, it's hard to reach when the Galio goes into the Hero's Engine. If that's the way they're playing, like you don't have the matchup of a Nocturne or anyone jump that further in. While as you can see, you has picked up the vibe for yourself. So you're still a bit more of a squishier type of comp on the side of Full Sense that can be neutralized by their Yunara. Like it's a late game Yunara that can do a lot of damage. This the Xinjiao picked up. Is this okay, this is a white top, is it not? Yeah.
Mouse? Is that you?
Mouse? Yes, Mouse.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay. I see it. So this is kind of wild. We didn't really expect that Xinjiao to come in. I mean, due to having a lacquer pool that's actually great to match up against the Galio, did they say, okay, this Aurora is going back to mid, and then Ite goes for the Xinjiao in the mid lane instead. Okay.
Really?
I think this is great because if you think about it, this forces that Galio to actually build a little bit more of the armor, and you will kind of have one less carry on the side of FRC, which is why Reverie, he was thinking, okay, now I need to go for a carry, and finally we get to see him unleash his Kindred that was being played back in the Thailand's Cup as well.
Yeah, but let's just be honest, talking about the FRC's competition, it's full of solid big team fight. So this is going to be very hard for Full Sense if they could not secure the early game on a ball.
Yeah, and it's really tricky for FRC in the team fight because there's not much CZ that they have. They have the Galio Town and then you have Nautilus, but that's it. Other than that, for Full Sense, they really cemented a good draft with the Xinjiao in the mid and the Fi. It's really easy setup, maybe level 2, level 3 gang. It's possible in the mid lane and just contrast it, and it's gonna be really hard in the mid lane.
Yeah, but let's see what will happen on the first game between the Full Sense and FRC. I'm gonna toss it to the caster, so Banama and Madness, just take it away.
Wow, we did expect that there is gonna be a lot of pocket pick and there's gonna be a lot of cheesy pick draft, but not in the game one, Madness.
It didn't look like it. When we just saw the Zinja pick up with the vibe, we thought, honestly, like, me and you had the same thought, it's going to be like a bow stop side collector vibe we're going into that. But no, it goes for the Zinja. And it's a good point by Contra. Now you can't just go the Hollow Radiance on the Galio earlier on. You have to build some armor. It delays your build by quite some time. And the Zinja can be useful in these team fights, can block a lot of the range of the Yunara with his ultimate in fight. So, and it's hard to, catch up onto him. So, this is just game one of this best of 5, and already the draft is looking so spicy.
Yeah, and if you're considering the best of 5 format, that's like you erasing 2 jungler at the same time, Vi and Xin. And looking at this draft for game 1, I also think at that last pick that Xin might be better for FRC, and in the same way they denied the potential for the Xin, taking that for themselves, and I just cannot wait, to see how IT will perform with the Xin mid.
Yeah, and we don't get to see that many Zinja mids, first of all. There's one guy in our region for SE12 Esports, like there's a substitute Nero. He's the one who's known in our region for playing Zinja mid. So I'm excited to see somebody else from around the same region, from the SE region, playing that champion as well in the mid lane. So I'm gonna have maybe some flashbacks to how that plays out. But a Zinja mid is a really deadly champion. And also, if you go with Alt a bit early on, there's so much burst damage in that champion if you go in. So I cannot wait to see if they will actually be building on Zinja. And like you said, also eliminates further champion picks down the line in that Fearless draft. These are the strategies that come in after the introduction of Fearless draft, and I can't thank Riot enough for it.
Yeah, and this will be a match, game number 1 in the semi-final, Full Sense against FRC Faerie Charm. Game number 1 in the semi-final, Full Sense against Faerie Charm. Already there's a surprise pick from the side of Full Sense itself, but Faerie Charm got what they want and their comfort champions, and we'll see Madness who's gonna prevail in this game number 1.
Yeah, and this is a long haul kind of ad, because until now both of these teams or the rest of the teams throughout the competition have only been playing best of 2s, right? More importantly on that side, and they had to keep on switching sides for themselves. But now we had that exciting 1v1 earlier on where Itai came out on top, selected blue side for Full Sense with their picks coming in, and the way they have drafted it makes sense for how it is going to be coming out, and I can't wait to see. There's going to be a bit of fight for vision. It's parallel across the river right now between both teams. There's just one ward placed down. Excellence is waiting a longer time, and you can see Fuse just hiding in the bush, maybe fighting if you can go in, and Itai has gone for the Conquer Zinja mid. From what I've seen, when I've seen maybe Zinja mid players, I've seen a lot of Halo plays, but oh, look at this, there's a invade coming in from Faerie Charm.
Oh, they missed the ward on the mid river, so yeah, they didn't find anything, and they actually didn't scan the ward in the red buff pits also. So Full Sense got a really good grasp of what's happening on their jungle, Madness.
Oh, it is, and they will be taking that for themselves. And you can see Dust has placed that ward in the red buff on the top side, so they're going to have ideas if you goes for a late invade. But this is an excellent start for the Kindred. You're already establishing, that horizontalness coming in these bushes. Like, you're going from this side, and that's usually where your monsters will be spawning who have the Kindred mark, so you can start stacking that up, especially if you keep this kind of jungle pathing for yourself. So I think this is honestly a very smart choice and a very smart move coming from FRC earlier on in the competition.
Yeah, I also agree, like, they made the parallel move, so, and like they knew the priority will be on the bottom side with the Nautilus on the early game with the CC that he has. So yeah, FRC can maximize it, but for Full Sense itself, there's a lot of going on, especially like when you see Fi, when you see Xinjiao, Galio maybe might a bit tanky, but Reverie also can stay in the bottom lane for too long, because this mid lane is gonna be hurting for this Galio.
Yeah, the Galio is just not going to have a good time. You can see Reverie is already setting it up over here. He's picked up the red, but not gone for his blue. The knocker comes in from Neku, but it's not enough. They will be making it out. Reverie is just going to be heading to his camps. He's going to have a slower aim on the tempo compared to the Vi, who had forsaken her own Grom as well as her rules, because she just went into the blue side, went into the side of Reverie, took the jungle camps earlier. So maybe going to slightly be behind because she's now walking back to her own jungle. So because of the time gap between that, they will be going for the scuttle caps on the opposite side. So the junglers won't meet as of yet, and the junglers are on the sides where the lanes are already pushed in.
Yeah, I think like few really afraid because they knew the Queen Red taking their red buffs, and so like full sense decide and few decide that we're gonna take the Faerie Charm red buff also. So I think like you said, there's a lost tempo for this fight, but overall I think that's the best choice that few can made at that time.
And yeah, Blue Buff going to pick it up, Scuttle going to pick it up, and this is what I'm talking about, the tempo, right? Reverie already on the Scuttle will be taking it down at the replace, maybe even gets a reset, maybe looks for something on the bot side, but this is what we're talking about, the Galio, he's just going to continuously being harassed by the Xinjiao in the mid. He can't even walk up, honestly, at this point. Xinjiao, just the WE combo is enough to take away like a couple of HP bars from Nekodesu, and it's a rough start for him. Like, he thought he's building the Galio for the support role, but he might not be that useful early on because it's going to be hard because you have to build armor, less time for that Hollow Radiance.
Yeah, and if you think about the Xinjiao, if Ite can press this lane really hard every single time, he can also rotate to the bottom side or the top side, just like Full Send having a second jungler on their team.
Exactly, it's pretty much having like a second jungler. You can go for those roams, you can create pressure. But mid, you have mid prior, you have top prior, so there should be an early, like maybe grubs later on for the side of Full Sense. And you can even challenge towards the side of Grey, because Ita is just permanently going to push these waves, and Niku's going to have to cover that up. And if it's pre-level 6, then you can have a timing where it's harder for the Galio to make it into the fight. At least till now, no TP has been burned. And more importantly, Ita has gone for the Ignite, right? So you can get later on in terms of macro how much you move. But look at Quan, the Nautilus walking up, going to get some vision for himself, but instantly the Vi comes in, knocks him up. The flash comes in from the Nautilus, but the Q3 from the Xinjiao locks him in place. First blood going to Few, going over to the side of Full Sense.
Wow, that's a good setup, and we already talked about that, the chain CC potential for this fight and Xinjiao, and they made it really perfect. And also there's also Yu Saki knew that maybe the mid lane and the jungle duo need some backup, and a perfect timing for Yu Saki because there's no chance for Nekodes to help Q1 and his first blood overall from Full Sense.
Yeah, honestly, and that, like we were talking about, the CC chain is always going to be there. The third strike from the 3 talent strike locks him up. He can't go anywhere. He's looking for roam, just coming to basically clear vision, doing his job as a support, and unfortunately getting punished for it because Few was just around the corner. And this, they might even be looking for a dive on Seveski the way it's being set up, but no. You can see Reverie just around taking his Grom, but level 5 already hit by Few. Reverie is slightly behind in terms of tempo, and even after picking the Grom, won't get it because the kill experience that Few picked up gets him that early level advantage, and that's very good for a Vi because you want to hit that level 6 as early as possible.
Yeah, and like we talked about this earlier, how Few and this fight really sacrificing his tempo because the red buff shenanigans earlier, and they really fix it up because the first blood gang that Full Sense did, and even the XP advantage for Few and gold advantage because the first blood. So this fight, like you said, the level 6 is gonna be big, especially in the mid lane because Nekodes still doesn't have damage, and looking at the build and maybe more focus on the AP build for this Galio, and I think that's the best choice that Nekodes could have.
Yeah, he's gonna go AP over here earlier on, depending on how he wants to do it. But Ita is already hit his level 6. Reverie has to be careful. He's just walking there. Then he'll put down a ward for later on vision, and they may be looking set up. But on the top side, you can already see the lane swaps coming. This time, Sebastian's not going to actually get go from the lanes on the way onto the top side instead. So he's going to have a better time reaching himself. But Ita has already got his level advantage again. Reverie is coming in from around the corner. This might be a gank potential on Ita, and Ita is going to be hugging the side where his jungler is. And pings are coming in for Full Sense to take the Drake here, and I think the counter would be the grubs going over to FRC. Yeah, exactly. The timing is very important over here. The Grubs still have time, and you can already see they're moving up to neutralize it. Only Lucius left bot side. The hook does land from the Nautilus, connects directly onto it. Here comes the Galleon with the hero's entrance, but it might not be enough. The damage is that the ultimate was popped into like 3 members as well, and one by one they're falling. They're trying to battle left. Seveski, not much HP left, dying to the ignite as well. That's the Xinjiang coming in fact. Ultimate from the Kindred gets popped. Gonna let him survive a bit earlier on, but then wind becomes lightning. The audacious strike comes in, and even Neko Desu will not be allowed to live. It's about who gets the kill. It should be going over to Excellence. It does go over to Excellence. They pick up the feats of warfare. They pick up first check, and they will also be picking up all 3 Grubs for themselves, it looks like. Yeah. Lot getting burned bot side, honestly, from the side of Blondie, but he does end up surviving, so nothing left over there. And Excellence is now 3 kills to his name. Leandri is already completed by the 10th minute, so he's a big boy in the top side. He's going to be doing a lot of damage, and now you have a Galio who's going to be maybe laning against it, but no, maybe Xinjiang's going top side instead. But the Galio, right, he doesn't have that much resist, you don't have that much tanking, so mostly your main frontline right now is going to be Quan, and he's also a bit behind. He's already died twice, and this might be some kind of setup coming bot side, but they're going to get spotted out. You're just going to clear the pink ward instead. Reveries around the corner if he wants to come in, so is the Nautilus. And I don't think this could be much of a fight, but they might still look for it. This dive is still looking to be set up, but instead the wave just gets pushed in. Nothing else exciting happening about it. Yeah, there is no safe space for them. They're already fairly behind by the 11th minute, and thus might be the next casualty in this matchup over here between them. Because oh my god, over in the bot side, you're gonna get Dusk getting jumped onto. He gets killed instantly. There's not even much time to even get to turret shots off onto anybody, and more plating. Yeah, and yeah. You get more platings, you get everything for yourself, and Dust is not having that much of a fun with the Rumble. Top side, everybody's going to be going for those camps. That started out pretty much by him going for that earlier invade on the bot side, so now he's always going to be trying to be permanently in the jungle. And what happened to Dust might happen today on the top side, because the TP is coming in, but the match TP as well from Excellence on this side. Nekodesu against Itai, the 1v1, Itai comes out on top, and here comes Aurora, a lot of damage. The Kindred ultimate going to save Quan for a couple of times, but Reverie actually steps out of it. Quan ends up falling down. The Nami tidal wave comes, only catches Sevaski. Can they do more damage to him? The bubble gets dodged by him with the dash as well. The ultimate is popped by the Dinar, but the damage is not there. Like we talked about, he does doesn't have the items. He's anyway just going to end up burning down. One more auto would be enough, but no, Sebastian gets away. The barrier gets exchanged for him. Now Dust is the one who has to run. Does he have the distance? Does he have the spacing? He doesn't have the HP. The damage is there. Excellence goes unstoppable. And what looked like maybe a good dive setup for FRC earlier on completely changed on its head by Full Sense. And they even pick up their Drake of all things.
Wow, that's just a long team fight, a long setup for Full Sense. IT managed to take 3 people alone and just buying time and excellence, just as you said, because the Leandris has been finished early, and we will see in this replay the teleport play is good. IT try take Nekodes, and there's no damage that has been done, real damage has been done to this Xiao, and even IT can got Reverie and us a little bit maybe Q1 also taken down. That Xiao that down goes to this Nautilus, but excellence. Look at this damage. Even though the equalizer is good, Uyosaki has been burned, and one more kill, one more protect, just like as you said to Slasky, the barrier saving this Yunar's life, but now with this Rumble, there's no tanks left, no gas left for this Rumble, and last few also got the Ocean Drake, so it's a really huge win for Full Sense.
Oh yeah, that's a huge win for them. 10-1 already in the 14-minute mark, coming in 6k gold advantage for the side of Full Sense as well. Few might get caught out over here. Revere's looking to charge up. The Q's getting charged from him. Few instead ends up going back in. That could be a costly mistake. Ultimate comes in from him, but here comes the tidal wave. This is not enough to save him. The shutdown goes over to Reverie. Excellence trying to get the pick off onto the Kindred instead, but the Kindred at least gets away with life. Finally, some fight back from the side of FRC, but this is the sacrifice over tier to bot side. Like, who is going to match this Xin Zhao in the side lane as well?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit overzealous by few. I can see the vision that he wants to bait the player from FRC to the range of Excellence, so Excellence can do the boom damage, but Reverie still survived at 1 HP in the end, and Full Sense knew that IT maybe might get this, the second turret on the bottom lane, so they call it worth, so they didn't want to pursue it anymore, but IT may be sacrificial here because there's 3 people. Q1 has been taken down, and IT managed to take down at least 1v3 again this Shinjo, but with no mana left, I think shutdown gonna be given to Sebastian.
And that does go over to Sebastian. That's good goal going to them, but even in that 1v3, it gets another kill. Like, it's a 1-for-1, and they're still fighting. But in the meantime, Blondie against Reverie. Blondie, you don't have the HP to fight a Kindred at this point. Few tries to flash in to help his ADC, but it's too little, too late. Reverie gets to the kill. He's going to scatter to the hills. Few was on the Rift Trail. If it was a second earlier of him walking into the fight, it could have been a bit different. But no, unfortunately, the flash gets burned for essentially nothing over there. But yeah, that's FRC trying to make the picks as well as can. That's the one of the few people that Reverie can actually destroy that fast in the fight right now.
Yeah, FRC trying to get a little shot down, but Full Sense actually managed to get the big picture. They got the turret on the top side, and they get the Rift Herald right now. But maybe for now it's looking insignificant for the side of Full Sense. Yeah, you can kill my illusion, whatever, but if this goes on and on, we're talking about a Kindred here, we're talking about Nara here, the second player already ready for both of them, it might get dangerous for later on for Full Sense.
Yeah, it could get later on for them. They have to, like you're saying, snowball it as much as you can, get into these fights, try and take this down like pre-25 minutes if you have a chance, because like you're saying, FRC, good scaling later on. The Yunara's going to do a ton of damage. He's fairly behind right now, but that could change late on the later part. This is the point where I thought Few made like a very big mistake. He tried to go back in before his team came in, maybe not anticipating the hero's entrance coming in from the Galio. That honestly ended up saving Reverie's life. And then this on the bot side where Itai is just like in a 1v3, he's just doing wonders over here for himself, man.
Yeah, and Itai still managed to get one for himself, but the shotgun actually that really hurts because the gold is gonna be cashed out to Yunara, but for that we have another team fight. Reverie got taken down, the Gatling, the calling is really hurting, and the equalizer just forcing Full Sense to back up, but no for IT. They want to fight this, thus in the bottom side and the top side, Galio, Nekodes just try to use the hero's exit because they can entrance this team fight full sense. If they stack as a team, and it's really hurting for them. Nicodemus try to survive, and full sense knew they don't need to push the issue because in 40 seconds the third Drake, the soul point, is up for them to take.
Yeah, soul point up for them to take. This is an excellent fight earlier on. You're taking away 3 members in that fight. There's nothing that FRC can do. And even if they were still standing in a 5v5, I don't think FRC has, the tempo right now to actually challenge Full Sense at a Drake fight or any objective fight. They pretty much have to know that this was foregone at this point. Maybe the only point they can fight is when it's the actual soul fight there later, the next Drake which comes out for the side of Full Sense. That's the point where they can maybe try to make a couple of moves, because you can see in the replay over it comes out at the start with Itay maybe looking to get caught out, but when becomes lightning, audacious strike as well as we buy so much time. He just doesn't die. This Xin Zhao is unkillable pretty much at that point. And then look at this switch up in pace from the side of Hugh. He instantly goes on to the Yunara, prevents her from coming into the fight, and this is what has happened to pretty much the entire time this matchup has been happening. He's being completely zoned out. Sebastian can just never enter fights, and he's never allowed to breathe at all.
Wow, yeah, like right now the sides of FRC didn't really have a real damage to take down Ite, because I like the Mount, the first item, also the Crimson Guard, really make it hard to Faerie Charm got into this Xin Zhao, and at the time the backup for Full Sense is already standing by Yu Yu Saki with the tidal wave, and it's gonna be getting worse and worse for Full Sense because of Faerie Charm. I mean, Full Sense right now have also the map control, and we haven't talked about it yet. The macro for Full Sense is really good. They make sure if there's a trade or maybe there's a pick off, they get something else in the other side of the map, Madness.
Exactly, like when Itay was fighting that 1v3 bot side, the Rift Herald was already getting started up from the Vi. Few's going to be taking that. Unfortunately, that fight, the Lucian does go down, but you're still getting every single objective you want. Not a single jungle objective has gone to FRC. Not a single turret is down from the side of Full Sense. They are enjoying a pretty commanding lead into this. Few is actually going in pretty deep here. The tidal wave to follow up with the Q plus the ultimate. The hero's entrance plus the ultimate from Kindred is going to keep everybody alive. But for how long can they live? The Vi gets sacrificed, but I think everybody else from FRC should be going down. Revity just about surviving. The last order from the Aurora gets the kill, and who's joined the fight? It's going to be Dust. The Dust enters here and he's instantly evaporated. He can't do much. Desu does a last-ditch effort to do something, but I think this is maybe at the point where FRC maybe have to start thinking about Aim 2 with the kind of pace that Full Sense is setting.
Yeah, and I think what Faerie Charm has done is just they see opportunities, they take it, whether it's good or bad, or they ready or not. And like Full Sense, they just setting up trap on the red enemy side red buff, and they're ready for it. And the plus side from FRC is this Yunara already been giving damage to Full Sense. That's maybe the lack of hope for FRC, but on the other side, it's already 8,500 gold lead for Full Sense. So this Yunara alone, I think, is not enough, because we see like few, maybe like every set, and yeah, it's only few, but either way from behind, they did not expect it. The times respect actually stepping few, giving him a little bit more time, and teleportation from Dust is just unfortunate. And yeah, reason is perfect, but look at the surface damage. At least it's kind of hurting from this.
Yeah, it is starting to hurt right now, exactly. But yeah, like I say, unfortunate TP from Dust to the portal. He just pretty much TPs to his own death, and he can't do much. Atakan gets picked up. Maybe Dust can get some more gold in objective bounties, getting this tier 1 turret bot side, maybe narrowing a bit of the gold deficit, but it's already 8k, 20 kills to 6, all jungle objectives to the side of Full Sense. And there's not even any inhibitor broken, so you're not going to even get any waves pushing into Faerie Charm, so they have to play on the safer side. Thus is just pretty much going to be on the side until team fights break out. You can see item-wise, at least Yunara, Kraken Slayer plus the Rune Circling, that's a bit of a nice power spike that she hits. And now once the eye gets it could be enough, but Few comes into the fight. The hero's entry comes in, the culling plus the Navi tidal wave might be enough. But no, Savasky is still alive. The flash was burned.
What?
But instead, you can Itay with the wind becomes lightning plus the Audacious Charge jumps in after he comes into the fight. Prevents Savasky, who looked like he was a miracle escape. The Equalizer comes here, but it's the burn is not enough. It looked instead like Dust is the one who gets burned down. They completely turned how that fight was looking on its head.
Ite is alive. That's the thing that FRC needs to make a note about, but because I think that's a really risky engage from few, because there's still the inner threat on the mid lane and the full sense the other teammate. It's like did we commit this or not? But let's look at the real play, because I think the big play with this ninja, with this tankiness, and look at Yusaki and Blondie, because Blondie took one of the third shot, the aggro shot, and they decided they need to get back. But IT, with the hero play, stoning out all of the Faerie Charm members and just blocking the base of the representative of this MYSP region, man.
Yeah, and look at this. The Drake's getting started up. This is Soul Drake for
Wait.
F. Full Sensitive can come in, but the TP comes
You?
in. The Dredge line connects. Fuse going to get deleted. The Season Desist comes in, but that's a huge amount of damage with their ultimate double kill coming in for Excellence, and they are not done. Neko Desu on the last person on the chopping block is going to be the Nautilus, and he's not going to be allowed to survive. This is looking like GG. The wave is already pretty much towards the Nexus turret. Ita is just going to walk like a Chad to the tier 3. He does not care about any turret shots. He's looking to secure themselves, and that Xinjiao pick that came in last for them, paying out so huge for the side of Full Sense, for the side of Thailand, as they look to be taking game 1 in this best of 5 series for themselves.
Wow, Full Sense with a shocking draft and a shocking wins against Faerie Charm, getting game number 1 for themselves. And I want to talk a little bit about that last fight. I just want to mention one moment, which is the Crimson Guard, the timing that's perfect from Ite, just to block the Lamb's respite for the Kindred, so there's no any other people other side the Kindred that get resurrected. Then it's really hurting Faerie Charm a lot, Madness.
Yeah, and Ite, 25.8k damage. That's a lot.
Wow.
The comp of FRC was pretty much to be playing to that mid to late game part, but they could never reach it to a point where they're strong enough in the mid game because of what Full Sense did. They snowballed. We were talking Full Sense has to end the game pre 25 minutes. That's exactly what they have done with 24 minutes and 26 seconds on the clock going for the fight. Excellence came up huge in that last team fight, but I think the star of the hour has to be Ite. The way he has played this Xinjiao, he has drawn so much aggro to him whenever he's going on the side lanes, allowing the rest of Full Sense to pick up objectives. And this Xinjiao pick came out as, you know, a curveball, but it hit right on the mark.
Yeah, and like Full Sense is just not just a denying draft. They really knew how to play with the Xinjiao mid, the 5U. Looks like that just a facilitator, but he also did some aggressive initiation, and that's really things that matter. And for FRC, it's kind of unfortunate about them. And let's talk about with Abigail and Contra to break this game number 1 Full Sense against FRC. Take it away.
Thank you so much for our casters, Madness and Madabo. That was a very beautiful tempo set by Full Sense Contra.
Wow, I mean, they're just super geniuses, right? When we take a look at the draft, we're like, Xinjiao? Where is this Xinjiao gonna go? Well, he sent it down mid lane, and he just full sends it over onto the Nexus as well. Well, I think like there's a lot to talk about here, but this revolves a lot about the mind games in the draft, because if you take a look at the first couple of picks coming in from the side of Full Sense, like what does it tell you? It lacks a little bit more of that frontline engage tool, and hence why they gotta find something really creative, and that Xinjiao fits perfectly into this notion. And if they were not to pick up that Vi, you can also imagine if FRC take it as the last pick, it will be a very dangerous threat where you can have that traditional Vi as well as Galio combo. So they managed to negate that. So when we take a look at the draft itself right now, yeah, it was perfectly executed. So that being said, there's just so much more than that. So FRC, they rely a lot onto having those kind of stable early game, and then what they did was to absolutely crush that down. You already have a losing lane when you have the Aurora basically having that priority over top side, so Dust was not having a good time. So they weren't intending to actually get the switch over. Even so, they've already picked up that Nautilus, hoping to actually flex it onto the other lanes as well. Like a potential jungle Nautilus is definitely kind of in the books, but they didn't really win with that instead. So naturally, you get those out trade situations, and this was one of the instances where it was FRC that comes in with that engagement, but that collapse coming in from Ite found so much value, and on top of that, referee kind of opened the out, bought a little bit more time for him to survive. So it wasn't the best of situation. That first dual win for the side of Full Sense have gotten them snowballing.
Yep, and that showed us that since opening kind of ruined the FRC's tempo.
Yeah, overall, I think like you talked about that tempo as well. I mean, you can see how this actually adds up. If we were to actually slow this one down, it definitely goes to show the value of this Nami pick as well, because when we saw this sequence, Savasky was hoping to really trade back, and then there was just that back and forth where we have Excellent surviving all the brunt of damage and still have been able to still find the mark and allow this flash play to happen and eventually get another shutdown towards FRC members.
Yeah, and not to mention that FS also turning FRC's top lane to dust, it opens even more opportunity for FS.
Yeah, true enough. And then you got so many beautiful tidal waves coming across. And then when we take a look at the situation, I mean, they were already funneled into their own jungle. And what makes matters worse is that if we were to actually take a look at the other side of the coin, he went in with the Hextech portal and he got punished because he was already late to the scene. There's definitely no necessary need for that. And the team fights, it was beautiful. I like how, you know, the Madness have also pointed out that Ite, he loves to draw that attention. He loves to cause chaos. He just went in for that dive. And just like that, they opened so much space for the Rise of Full Sense to really garner control in every single fight.
Yeah, and I think that one of the most performed in this game is UU as well. I mean, look at the beautiful tidal wave.
Yeah, there's just so much that UU has been able to offer, right? Like those good bubbles, the good tidal waves. You're absolutely spot on, Abigail. I mean, like, it's been looking pixel perfect so far on how Full Sense have been able to dissect that composition coming into FRC. So, you know, this is one draft out of the way. We're still in fearless draft mode, so we're not going to be seeing a lot of champions by game 3 onwards. So game 2, they will still have a couple more surprises on this thing, maybe.
Yeah, but the Atlas and Full Sense kind of relaxed because they already got 1 point towards the FRC, and it's going to be a very big tip for FS as well. And for FRC, I think it would be better for FRC to try to, you know, move out from their comfort zone. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think that FRC, I would say that this draft itself is already a little bit more on the confident side. If they should actually move into something that is, you know, out of the box, I can't exactly figure out what exactly would be the case. Where are we looking at maybe flashier plays coming into the bot lane? Are we looking at maybe playing around Dust? That could be maybe some kind of ways that they would try to work around with, because so far Dust did not manage to get any priority in a lot of all these matches that they played out. That so much so that even Full Sense, they set up those dives over the side lane just to punish Dust even further.
Yep, and also I think I would like to point out as well that the FRC as well as have a very strong mid lane and also a dual lane. Like if you mentioned Nicotis and also Savasky, they also very strong players who can control the tempo, and both of them can also initiate and engage the opponent. So I think I don't see that coming a lot from FRC during the first game.
Yeah, I think like they tried once and then they kind of have certain regrets about it. Maybe in a sense where the fights, it looks slightly disjointed. And I think like FRC did try multiple times where they tried to go for a little bit more of that collapse, but they were already slightly behind in some of all these scuffle. One important part that I also want to touch upon is the build for this Xin Zhao. He was quite smart about it because he knows that, okay, this Galu is not a problem. The problem is actually the jungle and the ADC. So Xin Zhao's ult naturally can block some of all these other attacks. He doubles it down. He buys Randuin's Omen, and on top of that, he bought himself the Black Cleaver alongside with, I believe it was a yeah, an MR item to also negate all these other pressure damage. So that was just beautifully played out from all the members of Full Sense.
Yeah, and I believe our casters will also think the same. I mean, that first game was more like a statement from Full Sense, but I believe FRC still has something to bring in the second game. So let's welcome our casters, Madness and Manamo, because the second game main phase will be very interesting. I mean, the Xin Sao pick indeed ruined the FRC's tempo, but I think the main core of the first game is early game set tempo. Madness, what do you think?
I completely agree on it. That Xinjiao did a lot, but it's also about the rest of the team. Like, we're talking about the Nami, right? The tidal waves later on, the fights, the bubbles are coming in good. Like, you're denying Sivaski from actually coming into fights. That's exactly what Itai was doing, right? He's just zoning him away, as well as the fight. The season, she doesn't mind if she's going to sacrifice herself in the fights. She's going to prevent the rest of her team dying and getting all the kills and the objectives. Like, no objective went over the Faerie Charm, and they have to improve a bit on this. You saw the early invade from the Kindred in the opposing jungle, but it did not manifest into too much damage later on.
Yeah, but I think I also kind of worked with the FRC because during the first game, they could not get any single big objectives, Manamo.
Yeah, and it's because like as Madness said, Full Sense really played well, and there is no real mistakes, from Full Sense, because that's every pick off that FRC is trying to force to get. Full Sense play the macro really well, play the map really well, objectives are there, and then objectives in the other side of the maps, getting turrets and the big objectives like Herald and Drake. So yeah, for FRC itself, I think they need to play it calm and collected, set their own tempo, their own pace. They knew they need to scaling, so like Full Sense is just really good to try to force FRC to play on their own terms.
Yeah, exactly, because that's also what I felt before during the first game between Full Sense and FRC, because it felt like FRC is kind of like dictated by the FS tempo control.
Yeah, I absolutely do agree. Like, initially it started with, that kind of invade in the jungle, but they already spotted that with Ward, right? So they say, it's okay, I can once again go for that power jungle, take your buff, and reset that kind of tempo. And look how they actually went in for some of all these punishments. They expected the maneuvers. The first blood that happened, they expected the support to move over mid lane looking for a potential gank. And that was just an easy setup to really instantly look for some avenues. And from that point onwards, you could see that they hold back ever so slightly. It's like, okay, you don't get to really cross over certain boundaries in that sense. So in a certain manner, you take a look at the draft for the side of FRC. They also cannot afford to make too many mistakes in the early game, because they need to skill up ahead. You need the Kindred to hit those power spike in terms of items. You also need Savaski to do exactly the same. So it's too much pressure. I mean, that itself, really, to me, it was a big draft win from the side of FS more than anything.
Yeah, but I think we should leave that to the first game of FS and FRC, and I would like to talk about what could FRC do with their drop on the second game, because both me and Control talk about FRC is kind of like not move enough from the comfort zone, Manamo.
Yeah, and like you said, there's quite a few champion pool that FRC has, and I think the Reverie is the one that hurt most, because this Wukong and Pantheon always getting banned, and I think the Kindred really doesn't fit the team of Faerie Charm itself. Like, we knew that they like Reverie to play aggressively, try to initiate, especially when he's on the Wukong, trying to get the Cyclone, those big combo. So I think FRC, if they want to at least get the advantage, they need to find a suitable champion for this jungler.
Talia first from FRC, what do you think, Madness?
I think that's exciting. We haven't got to see them in Talia's. Oh, the Zed answer instantly from the side.
Okay.
They wasted no time. The Zed was like, yo, we're just taking Zed here, bro. That's ours. We did get to see a Zed jungle yesterday as well. So this is interesting. It's a flexible champion. Can go mid, can go jungle, depending on how you want to go about it. But it's still, I think this is a very exciting start to this entire series. Seems to be so exciting.
Yeah, because I the way I see it is like an FRC just want to prepare something, and FS like, oh, I'm gonna, give you a flag war of flag. Let's war contra.
Yeah, and it's going to be all-out warfare, right? When we take a look at the kind of pickups as well, this is also the very first time we're seeing a Caitlyn in the Summoner's Rift. So I kind of understand why. I mean, you get to at least wiggle your way out with the E to maybe juke it out. But we finally get the Bard back on track in the hands of Killone, something that, you know, is semi-comfort. If you take a look at Nekodesu, probably has not really shown you the cards of a Talia, but back in Thailand's Cup, this is also one that is very comfortable with, so he can actually have a little bit more say, a little bit more impact. You can already see a little bit of an ideation of putting the members of FS on the choke point in order to have an edge in those team fights.
Yeah, but I'm afraid FS already have a very solid duel in Manamo.
Yeah, Faris and Karma, you know, the oppressive bottom lane, the aggressiveness, and Caitlyn Bard. I think the Bard is a little bit more preventive, you know, the death mark that will come from Zed later on, and the chain of corruption. So there's a lot of counter that FRC can set up, but I think, yeah, with Zed, Faris, and Karma, aggressive is the main theme of this draft for Full in the game too.
Oh my god, I love this drop, and I could not wait what kind of any champions that these two teams will pick against the Full Sense indeed trying to start a war towards the FRC contra.
Yeah, they definitely want to start something, so you would expect Full Sense to come in retaliating, right? But what exactly are the answers right now? They're already looking to dwindle down the pool coming in from both the top lane as well as the jungle. They have definitely respected, you know, the powers of excellence. He looked great on the Renekton before. He's looked great on the Rumble. I mean, Rumble has already been picked up back in game 1 already, so that's not going to be available here in the Fearless draft. No Trundle as well. So, yeah, it is looking rather iffy on what is still left out here in the pool. So, FRC, one final ban, and I believe they could actually double down to just take out another pull over the top lane, so to speak.
Yeah, it could be, but I think FRC could pull another ban for any champion who could, you know, ruin the top lane or duel in Manamo.
Yeah, I think the Fiora is also a good ban for FRC, because Excellence, we see how aggressive that he can play on the top lane, that he can manage, but there's still a lot of options, you know, like Aatrox and Hecarim on the jungle. So actually Zed is still can be flexed into the top lane if Excellence want to play it. So yeah, FRC still has no clue about this Hecarim. Yeah, aggressive plus just pedal. Oh, it's just gonna be absolute massacre. Just such a chaos, man, from Full Sense.
Yeah, chaos and madness for Full Sense, but this Gwen pick could be interesting too, madness.
Yeah, it is flexible, but at this point in the draft, it was flexible. In that point, you're going to see which both champions come. I'm very excited with the Hecarim. I would also be speechless at Manoa if you see Hecarim at this scenario. You see a center coming in. It's so huge in team fights. You know, the ultimate, the dice can change based on it, as well as you have a very good clear earlier on. You can go for aggressive pushes depending on how you want to be playing it around. And Kiwan on this Bard is going to have a lot of a hard time preventing a lot of things. Like his ultimate is going to be so crucial. The Talon will be coming in. It's a Gwen top Talon jungle, I'm assuming, and oh god, I can't predict what these guys are going to be picking up.
Yeah,
Me too.
I think we've seen a little bit of an iteration of this before, and it seems to be that they are doubling down on this Mbessa. I think it's a decent answer because the Mbessa could still play within the miss that the Gwen actually puts up, so there's still going to be damage to be deterred. But if in the case where she tries to pull in the public execution, it can kind of still be blocked. So in that sense, that Mantra E is going to be the nitro to this Hecarim to really charge right into the fight. So I absolutely agree. It's going to be a little harder for Killone to find a nice tempered fate to have multiple targets locked in it.
Yeah, but I feel like this is going to be a early game momentum between these two parties of Contra.
It definitely seemed very much like the case for the side of Full Sense because you got the Mbessa that's also playing on the timer. If it's going to be late game, she has to play on the sidelines to form a little bit more that split push in those scenarios. But hey, I'm excited to watch this because, you know, we got an exciting draft on both ends.
Yeah, that's definitely very exciting. So I'm going to toss it to our casters, Marabo and Magnus. Take it away!
Wow, full sense again, madness with an unorthodox draft, but we can see the vision, with the hacker with Z and the ambassador last pick. I really love it because I think there's a lot of backline that ambassador can utilize, especially the Caitlyn, and there's no much response or CC from the side of FRC, just the Cosmic Binding, Tempered Fat, and the Shove maybe from the Talia, and that's it. There's no much of layering or delay to what Full Sense can do.
Yeah, it's hard to peel for your Caitlyn, honestly. She's going to have a hard time surviving. And we're talking about the chains of corruptions. We're talking about the Z death mark. We're talking about the Hecarim just coming in. So there's a lot of things you have to walk in. And if they layer it properly, it's going to be hard. Like Contra was saying, for the Tempered Fate to come in from the Bard. Like how you have to... This is like such a high priority in the sense of how you're going to... K1 is going to have so much pressure on him to perform in this game. Especially that they're 0-1 down in the series, right? They are guys currently not with the momentum. It is FS with all the answers, especially in the draft. The creativity these guys are showing while drafting, hats off to them. I really like what they're pulling out, and it's making for some exciting League of Legends to watch.
Yeah, but also I just want to give respect to FRC for last picking the Talon, because the Talon, if FRC got a lead and this Talon gonna be really wrecking, but if they're behind, it's gonna be hard for FRC, and we'll just see. FRC got game number 1, game 2, and point number 1 for themselves, or Full Sense with another banger. The draft inside Hecarim and that on their side will manage to bring them to the match point.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how well FRC can answer back after that game 1. It was a lot of domination onto them, and now it is up for the chance of them to make this series 1-1, make it a bit more of a competition. Hopefully, we will see what happens in this game.
Game number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Full Sense against Faerie Charm. Full Sense already showing their dominance in game number 1 with such an impressive macro gameplay and team fight and deep unorthodox draft. Will they get another win in this game 2, or Faerie Charm's gonna bite them back in this second game?
Yeah, it's up to them to start making their mark into this. More importantly, it's the man of the hour of game number 1, honestly, with the Zinja pick, has now come up with something even equal maybe on this fight with that Z. So it's going to be hard for Nikodesu in the 1v1 with the range that we'll be having with he's at level 2. Level 1, I think Nikodesu can be going for the range, but Reverie will be looking for getting aggressive ganks with this Talon, right? That's the assassin coming in, but who will you be looking to assassinate? You'll be looking for maybe the Z or the Varus, depending on, but there's a lot of peel coming in. You have the shields coming in from the Karma, the heal as well, and Excellence can be looking to jump onto a Talon if he comes into fights, if Sebaski is not close by. But this is looking like a very smaller start. It doesn't look like any invades this time, and Juggler starting on the opposite sides.
Yeah, I think Faerie Charm didn't want to risk it, so yeah, they just gonna play it safely. The Talon gonna farm on the bot side, Hecarim on the top like usual, and it's just gonna be a happy day farm for both sides. But our attention must be on this bot side, on the Caitlyn Bard combo and the Faerie Karma, just like we talked about it earlier, how Faerie Karma can be really oppressive in the bottom lane with this duo damage and can push, and especially with the Hecarim on the jungle, it really opened the chance to early gang.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lot of poke coming in from Blondie and Karma, but they have also kind of lost priority in the lane. They've been pushed back, but that's exactly what we're talking about. Those mantra Qs landing from Karma into Vasky space. You're getting the wave pushed in, but you're losing a lot of damage. Fishing Arrow doesn't connect, at least from Blondie, so you should be aware of that. But the level 2 timers have already been hit by the bot side of FRC, so they will be comfortable in their location. And it looks like Talon still looking for maybe a pick. Blondie was walking up, the stun from the Bard missing out over then. Referee's just around the corner in case he comes in. Sebastian maybe looking to go closer. It baits full sense to walk closer, but Reverie is already dipped from the fight. He's no longer close by. Instead, he's looking to go over to the Hecarim over here. Few's getting chased away. The blue buff gets smited by Reverie, and Few had to just barely escape his life. He was in a very big of a pickle over there.
Yeah, and it's actually a really unique petting too for Few because they start from Raptors, Wolves, and the blue buff. The blue buff got stolen, and they now need to get the red buff itself. But a good movement from Reverie, playing really aggressive early on, and the mid lane Ite trying to get some damage against Nicodes because at this matchup the flash has been baited out because the shove. So I think Nicodes in this game too got the better early game rather than game 1.
Oh yeah, definitely a better earlier game than what game 1 was looking like. A lot of pressure coming in for themselves, and I love what Reverie's doing, but Reverie is not done. Ite has to run away, not quite sure about when his shadow cooldown will be coming back. He's keeping the distance. The flash by Reverie plus talents coming out. This should be the kill going over. First blood picked up by FRC by the hands of the mid and jungle combo.
Yeah, again, Ite just trying to play it aggressively, losing his flash and didn't know where Reverie is. And because the blue buff from earlier, Reverie get the urgency to just move back into his own jungle and set up that gang, knowing that Ite cannot go back, and he not having teleport really costs him a lot in this lane.
Yeah, it's gonna kind of rush. Sevarsky going low, the flash, piercing arrow. One more auto might be enough, but the charm to heal actually. The cups were left behind by Kiwan, so Sevarsky is gonna end up living. But his flash is Benbird plus his barrier. Reverie's around the corner, he's gonna jump in. He doesn't have the flash to jump into Blondie, so that distance cannot be narrowed down enough. As well as Blondie doesn't have his own flash. Has to be careful. The root gonna connect from the Karma, gonna lock him in place as the Bard is gonna match away. I think the wave is just gonna get cleared. The full clear comes back. Reverie's recall was getting cancelled in the bots, and another piercing arrow comes, hits both the Bard and the Talon, as now the wave's in a very good spot for Frill Sense and not in a good spot for Faerie Charm.
Yeah, and it's really cost a lot of time for Reverie because he's been held back a lot. Like, I think the FRC expect that after that early gang, the damage, Blondie and Yuyusaki just call it a day and recall back, but no, they just trying to trade and give some damage and apparently buying time so Few can get some Grom from FRC jungle and maybe looking to reset and get a gang in the next he came back.
Exactly, they will be looking to maybe get a next gang, maybe get a reiteration of something of the sort, but for at least now, only one kill on the board going over the side of Faerie Charm. Goal with them having this very slightest of edges. Nice dollar by Nicodesu on the WQ coming for the shadows plus the Q from him. And top side, excellence. Already hit that level 6. Maybe look for the death mark in the middle lane onto Nicodesu, but Kiwana is here for the roam. And the death mark doesn't do that much damage even with the ignite ticking out. It was going for maybe a fadeaway WQ, but it did not connect the way he wanted. Bard coming in at a crucial time to rent the tally from going down, and Ite has to be careful. He's low on everything. Doesn't have flash available. Doesn't have his W. W should be coming up very shortly, exactly as that. But the rake comes in from Reverie. Does come into the stun. Karma, who gets knocked back by the running way by Nicodesu, but look who's come into the fight. It's going to be Few. The horses come in to get a couple of it. Reverie gets the pick up onto Karma on the back side of it. And Nicodesu, you don't have flash, you don't have mana. You are not going to be long for this wall. It's going to be like Few's going to be picking up that Strangler. That's a lot of action, and it's technically a 1-for-1 over there.
Yeah, 1-for-1, but Reverie at the time, I think he knew that this is gonna be overcome it from FRC, but no, he decided to just jump in, got some kills, and come back safely. And in overall, yes, it's 1-for-1 threat, but at the tempo, at the team fight, we can see full sense still doesn't have the damage yet, still doesn't have the utility, even though the Hecarim came in the perfect time. And we'll see this, like, it's 2v3 from the earlier, but look at the overcommit decided by FRC. Didn't realize that Few already came, the flash already on with the magical journey, and Few unfortunately got cosmic binding by Q1, and Nicodes just stayed too long and give his life for Few. It's 1-for-1 trade, but tempo I think full sense trying to get some more, and we came back and there's a public execution, but there's not much left because Dash with the snap still can manage with the passive to dash away, and this top side looking a lot whole better after the shove, and the IT taking a lot of damage, but still Fits of Warfare been claimed by Full Sense for the first these 3 kills.
Yeah, the first 3 kills do go over to this time. The Deathmark does claim the life of Nikitu. And also, when we were watching that replay, actually, it was Savasky who ended up dying in the 2v2 in the bot side. Karma ends up picking the kill, but that's still 1 kill that adds 2 feats forward. That's why they have obtained that feat for themselves. Reverie going to be looking to jump on to Excellence over here, and you can even see the sniper shot coming in from the Caitlyn to narrow down the damage. The flash comes in from the Mesa, but she has so many dashes. It's going to be hard to catch, but at least you get the flash getting burned from it before you look to be heading for the grub. So it looks to be an exchange of grubs for Drakes here.
Yeah, it's gonna be exchange for grubs and Drakes, but I think it's really benefiting FRC more because with these 3 grubs and they have Caitlyn and Gwen, the side lane pushing, and Talia, of course. The side lane pushing is gonna be strong for FRC, but Full Sense, they like their Drakes, like how they set up for the force Drake fight into FRC, so I think Full Sense gonna be quite happy about this trade.
Yeah, they're gonna be pretty happy about it, and it's okay pace, way better pace compared to what game 1 was looking like for the side, at least for FRC, because by that time in this matchup, Fulsen's had a commanding lead in terms of kills, in terms of priority across the map. So at least they're slowing down. Reverie has picked it up for himself. He's even going to be taking the red buff away from Fuse. So Fuse not going to have that camp when he's going on the top side. You can see also by the terms of camps, it's been Reverie who's going for a lot more of the roams. He's shown up himself quite a few times, bot, even top, and then even with the ganks in the mid lane. At least Ite is picking up kills with the second deathmark they pop. Look at Karma. She's waiting to just jump into the fight. But K1 has come on this side, spoils that party. Yu Suzuki, you cannot be joining in right now as a hidden member. You're going to be exposed. Caitlyn's going to get the wave shoved in, probably look for back, because I don't think you could be doing much under the turret. Instead, Ambessa's going to be going in on to Savasky. I thought Excellence actually could have continued on there. They're just being wary. They think this might be actually a bait situation. They saw K1 close by. They don't know where Reverie is. So I think for that exact reason, the Ambessa is not going in. Instead, it looks like Karma might take out of the root lands down where the wall comes in from the Talia. She's made her way into this fight. The seismic shove will connect, but there will not be a follow-up. I think that should be the end of that skirmish. The bot side, unfortunately, Dust will be the one paying the price for the gang stop. With the help of Few, Blondie will be helping Few pick up a kill on the bot lane.
But look how much tempo they sacrifice, Madness, on the top side. 4 mans and the botch gang. And the mid lane, there's no one responding. Ite and the bot side, they got killed into the dust. And it just really sad for FRC, because you saw the idea, but Excellence using the public execution just to force the flash for Savasky, so he cannot deal damage from the far away. And yeah, it just really late for FRC to do some aggro turret juggling, and the Full Sense, the Excellence, and Yuyusaki really done well to protect the turret and staying alive.
Exactly. He did a good job protecting it. I like the root comes in for the command. She even dodges on the stun from the Bard. So she was bobbing and weaving through the fight. And you can see the items have started to come in bot side. For the Caitlyn the Collector, for the Varus, you have the Yomu. So he's going to have the added move speed. And there's a triple eclipse on the side of Liz. And yes, there's a triple eclipse. It looks so nice to see the inventory like that. But that is a lot of shielding coming out, where I think the Serpent's Fang that the talent will later on will come in huge. In the meantime, in the mid lane, Ether is going to use the Death Mark as well as the Tempered Fate came in. We talk about Q1 has to go strong, but this is not the way we wanted it to be.
No, there's a chance at least to force flash from Ite, but the Tempered Fate itself, like Contra already mentioned it, it's really gonna be a hard time to time this Tempered Fate against a Zed. And that's what happened. And again, Ite tried to come in against Q1, but Nekadesh with the damage with the rocks that been thrown into their face, but Ite still, of course, can bring it to safety. And the onslaught of Shadow from Few, the shove is perfect, and Q1 trying his best to support this Talia. And still, there's no dead bodies yet, but does really have a bad time in this bottom lane.
Yeah, and that is also going to help hurt the mental of what was happening mid-side. Because that looked at least, yeah, you're getting the flash away from Ite, but a bit of a mess up on the Tempered Fate. There's going to be a lot of talking in the calls, but Reverie looks to be cut out by Fuse, looking to jump over the wall. That's exactly what he'll do. And this is Fuse taking revenge for his red buff being taken in the top side, going straight into the jungle of Faerie Charm, claiming it as his own. And this might be even a turn fight, but Fuse has to run away. Yuzuki's going to be fine. The way the wall comes in, it's going to block away the path from the Karma, but there's not enough follow-up. The slows will also be coming in. A piercing arrow for Blondie for good enough sake over there, as Drake's coming up in like 35 seconds.
Yeah, and there's a quite little bit of weird sequence from FRC because Q1 already casted the Magical Journey and no one takes it, even though it's really Yuzaki escape route. But in the end, like FRC maybe thinking that they don't want to force the issue, but again, full sense right now. After the early game botch, they managed to picking up himself right back and close to 3,000 gold lead in this 13 minutes, and excellence and dust. With just as you said, this triple eclipse in the team fights is gonna be a really annoying for the side of FRC. But Talon again, look at the shielding. It's really a counter to this Talon.
Exactly, that shielding pretty much saved his life on the top side. In the meantime, the Chain of Corruptions do connect onto the Caitlyn, but here comes the Tempered Fate. Allows Sevaski to run away, but can Kyon get away with his life? Kyon actually does end up going. The Ace on the whole won't connect onto Karma instead, but you're eating a lot of damage as Blondie, but the onslaught of shadows from over the wall gets the kill. Few with the movement speed looking to get onto Kyon, but the slow is enough to prevent the Hecarim from getting a double kill. An interesting sequence of events over there. Kyon gets out, but Seversky ends up dying, trying to get a bit more aggro towards there, get a bit greedy, I would say.
Yeah, and I think it's already a good tempered fight for Q1 because they need to disengage there. And Savaski thinking that the passive and the ace in the hole is enough to burst down Blondie, didn't expect that Few that already finished the Drake will chase him, and yeah, it's just awful for this Caitlyn overall because it's 0-0, only the collectors has been completed yet. Still, the main damage dealers is on this Gwen and Talon, but again, full sense with all the shielding, and right now they have built a good gold lead. It's gonna be hard for FRC.
Yeah, build a good lane. If we're talking about shielding, the Super Spike is going to do wonders for every when he ends up building. He can utilize a lot of that shield. It's still a lot, especially they're going to be excellent survive because of it on the top side. Essentially, this should be tier 1 also falling down in the bot lane, going to be picked up by Varus. Well, the Rift Herald has been started up by Faerie Charm members, but Few has a couple of things he wants to talk about with you, Reverie. Reverie has to pop the ultimate. Talon just about escaped with his life, but that should signify Herald going over to Phil. That's exactly what happens. They do get out with their life, but you are sacrificing jungle objectives. The only thing they've actually managed to take till now were the 3 grubs.
Yeah, thanks for the leash, I guess, says Few, because yeah, at that point it's really hard to counter team fight full sense, because like the movement speed they have, the mobility, and like they can in and out really easy, and full sense getting the first red on the bottom side, getting the Rift Herald, they can manage to break this mid lane open when the time is right. Maybe in the third break, the Hex takes soul, and we will come back to replay to decide the Savaski get that mark, that root, and yeah, just being blown up by Ite. Like we said, this is gonna be the hard counter to this Caitlyn.
Exactly, the Caitlyn, like we said, is there's so much she has to watch out for. Got killed by an onslaught shadow bot side, gets killed by Death Part mid. These are the things that will be the bane of her existence throughout this entire game. Number 2, Blondie's walked up quite a few minutes, like far up over on this side. Here the Herald does end up getting spawned. Herald will be charging directly into this tier 1 in the mid lane. That's not all for Herald, but a nice Tempered Fate to prevent it. You can now actually get their Herald, so that's a nice use of the Bard ultimate for himself. Few's gonna actually get some more speed, walk away. Oh, Kyon has to be careful of that side of the piercing arrow. Nicholas comes in with the ultimate for the Talia. The seismic shot doesn't connect. There's no big potential essentially from the Reverie looking with the rig to slow down onto Blondie, but at least they prevented the tier 1 from falling as of now.
Yes, prevented the tier 1, and also there's no death yet into this side of FRC, so there's like we said earlier, there's a chance they use this referral to set up the tempo, but they left this third tier 1 alone, so it's just gonna be a delay still. Full Sense gonna get it, and the push into the second tier maybe gonna be blocked by FRC, but again, look at the map control already been cemented by Full Sense, but now IT.
He maybe will look into kick her out, but I think with this death mark, oh, but the explosive plant goes away now. It doesn't have many places to go. The Ray comes in, so does the Assassin's Assault, and they get the kill. A shutdown going over to Reverie. So that's I think getting punished. This is the second time he's getting punished for showing aggression like that, essentially, and this is seeming to be a repeated pattern from this mid lane. He has to be a bit careful of his positioning. He is currently very strong. He's always going to be looking for the assassination attempts. And talking about assassination attempts, Blondie's just solos key one over there. The magical journey was straight to the gray screen for this Bard.
Yeah, the Bard again, the Q1 gonna be the sacrificial for the side of FRC. Full Sense. Like you said, this Z, IT maybe really need to slow down a little bit, because yeah, right now he's not a Xinjiao, so 1v3 is looking a little bit impossible for now, but nevertheless still, Full Sense got a really good lead in their hand, 5,000 gold lead. Also Shojin is ready for this Hecarim. We actually didn't see this Hecarim much, like, you know, when you expect Hecarim ganking mid, ganking top, ganking bottom, but he always been on the place that he needs to be, and Full Sense just make it use perfectly.
Exactly. Full Sense jungler is always exactly where he needs to be. Fuel is trying to duel against the Karma. The Tempered Fate comes in. Karma gonna be locked for the wall. Here comes the Weaver's Wall. It allows Necrodesu to come straight in, but it's in to his own death. He's jumping into 5 members of Full Sense, and that's not exactly where you want to be as the Talia. Gwen follows down as well. The ultimate for the Ambassador doesn't connect. That would have been another kill for the side of Full Sense. So just before the Drake fight, they bait the side of Faerie Charm to come into play. The Tempered Fate comes in. They were trying to isolate the Karma alone, get the kill on her unsuccessfully, and your mid laner, top laner pay the price.
Yeah, and I think it's just really forced by FRC to get the team fight, get the kill, because they thought they got Farah's Tempered Fate, so like the Talia, get the Weaver's Wall, came in, but look at the backside from FRC. There's only just 2 people ready to follow up, and that's not enough. And yeah, Full Sense get a clear grasp. They know how to team fight, and the follow-up from this Hecarim. Let's see as the replay come in. This is the IT one, the Blastcon one. So yeah, this is just a little bit overzealous from the Z, the Blastcon, just making it hard for IT to escape, getting the shutdown into Talon. But the team fight at this, this is the Q1 one. Got the Chain Corruption and Q following up. But when we see at the live, also Gwen has been taken out. But I want to talk about this team fight. They Tempered Fate the Pharahs, but they didn't expect the rest of the Full Sense.
Oh, but over here, Few ends up going down shutdown. Very importantly picked up by Caitlyn. Sebaski will be very well awarded for his efforts. Gets a lot of gold. The Tempered Fate comes in. Q1 is locked up as well. He should be going down, but the Seismic Shove gets the kill onto it, and Sebaski ends up going as well. Necrodesu just barely gets out with the line. He's being forced to burn the flash. The Seismic Shove doesn't connect, but the Ambessa ultimate does. Not many places that Talia can go after that. A triple kill coming in for excellence as he makes his mark on this Ambessa.
Matlas, I want to explain this sequence earlier, but I want you to see the item of this mid top lane jungle for Full Sense.
Oh no.
Eclipse and Shojin. Triple Eclipse and Shojin.
Oh my god, they're in synergy today over here, Manamo.
Yeah, and they really are, because we see how the Z just made and switched the the jungle, and Ambessa now have some distance, have some damage, can just clean it up, and FRC really has no answer. Maybe they thought they killed the Paras, they killed the Z, no damage left from Full Sense, but this Ambessa already online.
Yeah, it's already online, and that's the triple kill that gets you a lot. Dust is going to walk in straight into the chains of corruption. The Gwen can go in immune, but for how long? Reverie is trying to get the kill onto Few on the side lane, but Few is just bobbing and weaving through this fight. And the Weaver's wall from the Odali actually prevents K1 from making it out. Seveski gets shoved back in to the rest of Full Sense, and even Neko Desu is not spared. A complete ace coming in for Full Sense. Atakan acquired. 5 kills acquired, no casualties for their sides, and what seemed like a pretty nice start for Faerie Charm in this, game 2 has slowly just decayed away to Full Sense, yet again showing dominance.
Yeah, and props to Full Sense. They managed to tone down the early game from Faerie Charm, making them, they knew if it's come to mid game and late game, Faerie Charm doesn't have that much of CC. The damage is like a poke damage, no burst yet from the side of Faerie Charm. They knew, and Full Sense just play it really patient, and they execute every team fight perfectly.
Exactly. Just look at this fight over the Gwen. Ends up eating Chain of Corruptions to her face. You can go immune, but how much time can you buy? And Reverie doesn't even get the kill onto Few on the side lane. And talk about the Weaver's wall, that actually prevented the Bard from running away. So this is payback for that Tempered Fate earlier in the mid lane. That's what I think Neko Desu is saying to his Bard, because that was both of them trolling each other. And unfortunately, it's not looking good for Faerie Charm right now. There's still a couple of avenues the way they come in, get back into it, but this is looking like Full Sense's game to throw, because like you talked about time and time again, the CC is definitely lacking on the side of the team from Malaysia and Singapore.
Yeah, and look, yeah, you can just compete with this damage because there is no pure tank also from the side of FRC. There's no one who can block the damage from this Ambassa, the Z, and this Hecarim. Nevertheless, also the Pharros, if you want to mention, and the redemption from the Karma, the healing, the shielding. It's just really hard for the FRC, especially this Reverie already at the state of nice game, and thus right now gonna be taken down by Few, but no overextend because Onslaught Shadow connecting to the tree. Blondie gonna give some damage, but Few taking some aggro shot of the turret and managed to be taken down, but the double kill from Blondie didn't want to miss the party.
Yeah, they could have even been a triple. Dust pretty much just barely survives, right? Few does go very deep with the Onslaught of Shadows, but prevents the rest of his team to also follow up. They're gonna get those kills. They're looking for their tier 3 in the mid lane, while Ambassa is just working in the top. She's just proxying the wave over at this point. But FRC are scared to pretty much even leave their base. There's not many places they can go. They don't have much vision. They have a bit on the bot side, but everything else on the map is just covered in darkness. And this is Soul Drake for the side of Full Sense if they manage to take it. As you can see in the replay, it all started with Few trying to go on to Reverie, who was trying to just get a couple of jungle camps. This poor talent has been starved a bit later on, and then Dust was the guy everybody turned their targets to. He just about survives. As you can see, goes immune at the exact time when Few goes in onto him. So Hecarim ends up dying, but you're focusing so much onto him. Sevaski is left alone, nothing to protect him. So as for the Bard, so they go down. This should just be Full Sense taking Soul Drake for themselves.
Yeah, and look at this comes with Hextech Soul. I think their FRC, yeah, really they cannot escape from now on, because yeah, the slow from the Hextech Soul, also the Hecarim and Ambassa and Z that will always be on top of your head. Plus now the Baron's gonna be contested, and I think this might be the last fight from both sides of the team.
Yeah, this might be looking exactly like this. It's going a bit longer than the last game. We are hitting around the 26-minute mark, and they are setting up trap setup. But Blondie and the side of it, I have different ideas there. Like, we do not need Baron. We're just going to get the pick onto Sevaski, who is 1-7. We have talked time and time again. This Caitlyn cannot breathe. They're going to take down tier 3. They're going to take down the inhibitor. Another tier 3 in the bot side shortly. We're gonna follow. The Temper Fate connects, but so does the Chain of Corruptions. It's onto the Gwen. Dust can't survive. He's not immune for long enough. Excellence going in onto the backline. Neko Desu trying to run to her out to his fountain, but just not enough in time. Nothing is left from FRC. Another ace from the side of Full Sense as they march it in. The only casualty gonna be the Ambassa, and yet again, a very, very strong performance for Full Sense to take game number 2 and to put us on series point in this best of 5 semifinals.
They don't need Baron, they just only need a good team fight plus Hextech Soul, and Full Sense again dominating Faerie Charms on the game 2. A good draft, really good read about what Faerie Charms want to do, and they shut it down perfectly. A little quite nice touch with similar item build from this mid top lane jungle combo. And yeah, overall it's like we said on the draft phase with Abigail and Contra, these Caitlyn's is really cannot do anything, because yeah, what are you gonna do, because yeah, this MS hacker MZ always on top of your head, Madness.
Yeah, like what exactly? What can you do? You can be maybe the best ADC in the world and you can't do much. You don't have any peel for you, essentially, in this comp.
Yes!
Like you said, it is pretty much a burst type of comp coming in for them, and unless you get that early man advantage, early game advantage, what Reverie was trying to do, trying to burst it down in mid lane ganks, but it's just not enough. Itai played aggressive, was punished maybe twice for it, but after that it just came to fruition. The just changes of corruptions into a death mark is pretty much the death of Savasky. Where are you going to go as a Caitlyn? T1 had a couple of pretty okay tempered phase. Just that one mishap in the mid lane, and even the Weaver wall also came back to haunt the side of Faerie Charm.
Yeah, and Full Sense managed to finish the game too, and I think it's gonna be fun for Abigail and Contra to break down. So we're gonna pass it to our MC and analyst. Abigail and Contra, take it away.
Thank you so much to our lovely casters and batters and Batable. I mean, during the second game, the early game momentum at its finest for both sides, to be honest. I mean, that was beautifully played by those two teams. But at 10 minutes, the FRC straight tempo started to fall off. And I started to question this Caitlyn pick from FRC.
Well, I wouldn't really blame the Caitlyn, because you can see how many potential dives can actually set into place for the side of Full Sense. If it's not the MSA, if it's not the Zed, you have this unstoppable Hecarim. Whenever he opens out the Onslaught of Shadows, you better run, because there's no frontliners coming from FRC to save the day. The only thing that they can rely on is the Bard's Tempered Fate, which, you want to use it for pivotal moments to try to exchange in some of all these team fights, but I felt like, their game plan for the side of FRC initially was to maybe open up more avenues. They felt a little bit more confidence when they managed to pick up that Gwen in this draft. They managed to also secure the talent to try to gain a little bit more of that priority over on top lane. But even despite so, you saw Excellence was so incredible on that Mbessa that, he doesn't really have to do much. He just needs to ensure that he doesn't get caught out. Meanwhile, we have seen instances where FRC, they try to go for those pickups. It took so much to even get, a kill onto Itay that they had to burn multiple ultimates in order to do so. Let's quickly take a look at the early exchanges. They did manage to get that quick setup over a mid lane that did manage to see punishment set right in the stone to get a kill over on to you eventually. But instead, the arrival of Few came in so timely in this manner that it was so much so that all these pressure onto that mid lane is starting to really crack, and they managed to also claim the feed very quickly. Despite FRC, they had a couple of setup, they went in for a dive, and yet again, it went pretty okay. But always, they gotta remember that there is gonna be a form of retaliation as well. FRC, they didn't manage to really convert all too much, whereas we still see Dust getting punished.
Yeah, and to be honest, View's pick of Hecarim is kind of genius, because he's brought lots of pressure even with just his presence.
Yeah, his presence definitely was very overwhelming. Like, more often than not, like, you see this dive, I mean, it's just so beautiful. If it went a little bit deeper, he could have actually secured himself a double as well. Now, watch what happens here. They saw this kind of angle where they are looking for a team fight, and the problem is, this is a perfect setup for this Hecarim, because they went in with the Weaver's Wall. They've already burned so much of all these utilities. The TP is already coming in. And then once more, I want to highlight this individual Hecarim. He's in the thick of it over on this corner. And then you also got Itay, so there was just a full collapse that this whole zone cannot be played by the rest of FRC anymore, even if they really want to go aggressive. So that naturally gains an edge for those members of Full Sense to be able to really take over the fight. If we just watch what happens here. I mean, overall, it's just perfect coordination on top of wise decision making in the form of those team fights. So it was just a great grand scheme of a picture that Full Sense have been able to read, not only from the draft, but what needs to be done in the game.
Yep, and it's sad for FRC because FRC looked like cannot handle the pressure during the game. They need, I mean, during this fight, during this kind of situation, they need to recover as fast as possible.
Yeah, they definitely need to. I think that's where they did manage to draw this exchange in the jungle. They get a few kills, but they also get taken out the list as well. And by then, they tried to contest for the akan too little too late. I mean, all they could possibly seek refuge is to look for some pickoffs, get those kind of goal lead back in their favor, but it was way too overwhelming. This kind of death ball formation coming in from Full Sense is just hard for them to really read who exactly to catch first, because that Zeth was so elusive, and then you also have Excellence, who only died in this very final fight where, you know, the game's already over when you've already been able to take out the rest of the members of FRC, and right now, Full Sense, they are on match point. So the Thai fans absolutely rejoicing that they're looking for just one more win to secure their meetup once more up against Inferno Esports. So Abigail, I am excited. But hey, FRC, I'm hoping that there's still some of the drafts that they will be able to formalize heading into the third game. Now that the pool is looking very thin in the form of champions that all these teams could possibly pick up.
Yep, because now FRC only have one chance to prolong their presence during this lower bracket of bracket stage. And I would like to discuss it more with our casters, so Mathis and Mano could join us. I mean, for FRC side, it's going to be a mental game instead of the draft game because they only have 1 feet away from the grand final stage madness. Oh my god, this is so sad for FRC.
Yeah, and there's so much pressure on them, right? One more game lost, that they're out of the competition. There is no lower bracket in this kind of a format. It's going to be, and it's not looking that good for them, right? Their draft last time lacked a lot of CC, like we've talked about. They can't lock it out. There's no appeal for the Caitlyn. She's just being left alone. The Tempered Fates that we were hoping would come in, not coming in timely that we were expecting from the Bard. So unfortunately for them, they find themselves with their backs against the wall. Hopefully maybe they bring out something else in the draft, but I think Full Sense, when they're drafting, they're just another type of team, because I think their strategies are something that we don't get to see often.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I agree with that kind of statement from Baptist, because the Full Sense draft is also very quick, and not to mention how they would like to respond in any situation, whether it's blue side or red side contra.
Yeah, overall, like you can see that, you know, immediately that Talia pickup came true. They wait not even a single second to lock in the Zed, because naturally a Zed does actually win that exchange even on a 1v1 setting. Of course, it's down to, you know, timing as well as how you utilize the entire kit for the Talia. I won't think that Neko Desu played poorly or anything like that. It's just that it requires too much of all these right settings for all these kind of compositions to play right, because you really want this kind of comp with the Talon, Gwen, as well as the Talia to be able to win things out. But the problem is they couldn't really find a clear win condition, and hence why it started to crumble down whenever, you know, you have that full-on team fight, which was way too overwhelming. So spot on, Madness definitely was right when he talked about the draft itself. Overall, I think like the matchup in the mid lane right now is going to once again set the pacing of what this game tree is going to be, because Neko needs to really find something that, you know, is going to be stable, because he's been, you know, the backbone of the team for the past couple of series we've seen back and towards the group stage. So they still need to play around him.
Yeah, and I think I also we also saw the FRC is trying to move the tempo towards the Baron lane, and it wouldn't work well because the way how Excellence play is just excellent, Manamo.
Yeah, and I think Excellence just have the Land Kingdom, either it's a weak side or the strong side. They just capitalize and the build item, and you Contra mentioned it, when Excellence dies, the game is over, so it doesn't matter. And for FRC itself, like my concern, other than Nekodes, like Contra already mentioned, is Reverie, because we really see he's playing Kindred and Talon. It's really not working for him. We saw in the group stage he play more like utilities jungler that can set up. So coming into game 3, I want to see Faerie Charm just playing in a sense a really basic draft that have a lot of setup, a good damage, a disengage, because in the first 2 games we see how lacking of crowd control they draft are.
And talking about the draft for the 3rd game, I mean, Lee Sin is still wildly open, Madness.
Lee Sin is widely open, but what is never being left open for Reverie is that Wukong and Pantheon, right?
Yeah.
It's always being banned out against him, and unfortunately can't do much. And then the Annie first pick coming in from the side of FRC this time. They're going to still be on the blue side, selecting for themselves. But let's see what else they can be picking up, because like we've been talking, CC has been lacking. Maybe they're hearing us. Maybe they're also rethinking. Maybe they will also be building it into this game 3 draft for themselves.
Yeah, but for full sense, Skarner, that would be the very first time in this LCP Contra. Oh no.
Okay, they
Silas.
switch it up, and right now the answer back, okay, for secure the mid lane, tell you what, we're gonna have that perfect core Ite special, and it is gonna be the Silas. And to double down, they say, you know what, I know FRC is drafting a crowd control composition. They're thinking about the Ashe as well as like, okay, it's just a little bit of teaser. They have the Jarvan in their hands, which is also something that Reverie has picked up before. So they are denying this pick to fall into the hands of the MYG roster.
But this has also put lots of pressure towards the FRC with Silas and Jarvan, because it really helped in terms of teamfight Manamo.
Yeah, and I think the reason that you asked, Abigail, is coming into FRC, and at this point, I think that's the best option that Reverie can use after Jarvan has been counterpicked by Full Sense. But again, this is Silas, Ite Silas that we're talking about, that we already talked much. We praised a lot about this guy using the Silas, so there's a lot that can FRC do, but this T-Burst that maybe make a difference, the Stolen T-Burst and the Avelios for Full Sense Blondie. So already the matchup in the bot lane against the Corki gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting because you have lots of options with Aphelios Madness.
Yeah, you definitely do, and he's going to be outscaling the Corki on the later stage. Like, Corki hits that 2-item spike, he's pretty strong, but that's the mid game we're talking about. And it's not like he's very mobile. He has the Valkyrie to get out of situation, but if the Valkyrie's down, the Flash is down, how are you getting out of the Cat in Prison from the J4? And I really like what they have done from the side of Full Sense to deny a lot from Reverie. Like, they pick up the Xinjiao earlier on in the other game, take it in the mid side, they're denying that pick later on in the Fearless draft, and they have denied him quite a bit, and he has been on that suffering kind of thing. His talent was looking pretty good last game. He was trying to get Talia ahead, but unfortunately it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah, but for the ban from Full Sense, they just denied Poppy and Treasure for FRC. I believe that FRC just don't want to FS got a full space for Aphelios to become fat before its time in Contra.
Yeah, I definitely do think that they are removing a lot of safety net for this Aphelios to play, right? So Reverie can also look to really snowball the bottom lane if he can actually find a good angle to dive. So instead, they go in for a ban onto the Rakan. They understand that, hey, they can already make a big setup with the Silas as well as the Jarvan combo, so you want to really deny that. But hey, you still have the Rel up available, so they're just going to quickly pick that one up. So you still have a very strong crowd control chain coming from the side of Full Sense, and now FRC's got to formulate something, because maybe you got a consideration for the Alistar that's still in the cards, but I want to see that synergy as well, because right at this moment, they are also thinking about, hey, if we take that Alistar right now, we're giving the Silas a free Unbreakable. So instead, they lock in that Leona.
Yep, and it's gonna be a safest option for FRC, and also they also need a solid tank on that lineup, Manabo, like not what we saw on the second game.
Yeah, because if FRC gonna pick the Bruiser, Clyde like Yorick, I think it's a good choice, because the Maiden is gonna be hurting in the end, but the problem is Excellence gonna be counter pick Yorick, and in this match, like, you have Jax, you have Xante to counter this Yorick that's still available, and it's gonna be really hurting a lot in this top side. And again, talking about the CC, the Lee Sin, and Leona, is that gonna be enough? But this time you have the Annie with the passive and with the Tiber. So I think FRC, so far this is the best draft they have.
Well, but what do you think about the prospect of FRC in FS draft contra?
I mean, FRC right now, they need to really set a few win conditions, right? Whether if you play around the core key, or maybe have the early game to be a little bit more focused onto Dust, because he's once again playing on the side, which maybe the first few levels he's gonna be alright up against Jax, but I don't think that he has control or a say when it comes down to, you know, mid-game team fights or late game, because I'm very sure that Full Sense will be looking to lock down and put this Yorick behind. So a very bold move with the Yorick, but I kind of like it that they are really trying something really out of the box.
Yeah, and will it be a 3-0 from FS towards FRC, or it's finally time for FRC to secure 1 point from FRC and prolong their presence during this game? So I'm gonna toss it to Maramo and Madness. Take it away!
Again, Madness with the draft. I think this is the best draft that FRC can manage in all of these 3 games. But even though it's the best draft from FRC, I still think that Full Sense draft still better than FRC.
Exactly, I was gonna say the same thing, because it is looking like they have a way better draft, at least at the current spot. The Philos is barely anything can happen to them, because you have so much to prevent. If that Rakan even went through, that would have been a lot of disengage as well. Silas prevents a lot of your picks for their support, like they are really golden away, and they're bringing in CC. Like, you think it still might just not be enough. Your point and CC is not being there, right? It's the Tibiers that you have to actually skill shot properly, get a good timing on it. Your Solar Eclipse has to come in a good timing for the Leona, and if these happen, if you're missing on these kind of abilities, this could still be problematic. Yet again, this is with FRC with their backs against the wall. If they lose one more game, they are unfortunately out of this LCP wildcard playoffs of 2025.
Yep. And the Silas actually really have a good ultimate to stall. Like, they have this Annie, the T-Burst, and they also have this Maiden. And again, the Leona Solar Flare can manage to follow up the Cataclysm, the J4 can set up, or even a follow up maybe. So really, Full Sense having a great draft again, and Ite with his signature Silas. But again, this is the best draft that FRC can do. We'll see if it's gonna be 3-0 or 2-1. Game number 3, potentially the last game for today, since Full Sense already get their match point, the series point. Will Full Sense gonna be secure their slot into the grand final early, or FRC say the Knights still have a long way to go, Madness?
Absolutely, and we get Reverie on the Lee Sin. I'm really hoping for some insect level gameplay coming out from him. If they have any chance of surviving in this competition, he will step further. Right now, just a lot of neutral positions from the side of FS, while it's a bit more advanced from the side of Faerie Charm. They're trying to put in a bit of vision, but unfortunately for now, Reverie is just holding.
Madness, wait, is it IT Jarvan?
Oh wait, what? It's Silas Jungle. You are correct, Monamo. I wasn't even looking at that. That didn't even cross my mind till I saw the scoreboard. This is the Silas Jungle after the few patches that have got him ahead. We're going to see Itai bring yet another jungler to the mid lane over here.
Yeah, and if you think about it, he plays Xinjiao, Zed, and Jarvan. So who's the real jungler here? And he plays 3 jungle champion, man. And I just really excited how they gonna perform against this Annie with this Jarvan on the mid lane.
Technically, the only mid lane champion except the Zed was the one he played in the 1v1, right? Everything else is coming out from Tay's putting on a statement. He's like, you can just never predict. I think this is very good for how they're drafting because it causes confusion in the camp of FRC about what they're going to go up against. And he's trading pretty nicely still against mid. Use the flag to get some damage on this, getting his entire from getting the wave pushed in, maybe even looking for the bounce back. And the top side, Excellence getting his push. And let's see, what do you expect with the Jax? You're going to keep your distance. You have the counter strike up. Anytime you go for trades, it's going to be nice. And I think that's the priority going in for them. And this is just another curveball of the many that Full Sense have thrown at us the entire evening.
Yeah, man, Ite and Full Sense with another shocking draft phase, and it's really actually gonna mess up on the FRC side because they already got the plan. Okay, this is Ite Silas that we give in and the Jarvan in the jungle, but since the role has been switched, the position has been switched, they need to manage again, they need to rethink what kind of game that the Silas gonna do, or this Jarvan that again, like game 1, they basically have two junglers this time.
And if I'm Inferno Esports, I'm taking notes completely of what is happening in this matchup. Given that Full Sense seems to be on the cusp of meeting them in the finals, and this is something that Inferno Esports have to pay out for in the future. Because we've talked about FRC, a lot of things that they do in their drafting side is pretty meta, maybe lacking sisi, but otherwise it's still pretty meta in terms of damage and otherwise champions pick. But Full Sense is just completely 180ing what we think should be meta champions in a game like this. And Excellence continues the pressure at mid side. Ite has already forced the portions out of Nikijisu, and this is a Jarvan that started with a Doran's ring in the mid lane.
Yeah, is it gonna be AB Jarvan? Oh no. Yeah, it's really we really cannot guess what Full Sense gonna cook in, especially in this match. And also I think FRC thinks this thought the same things, but looking at the other lanes like the Yorick against the Jax that we mentioned, it's gonna be really hard for the Yorick until level 6, at least until the Maiden came. And in the bottom lane, the push or the aggressiveness from the Velius, it's gonna be hurting until 2 items that you mentioned for the Corki. So yeah, it's gonna be again overall depend on Reverie. Will he get the early level gang, or it's just gonna be the same as the game 1 and number 2?
Yeah, and Excellence even goes in proxies, gets his entire second wave or third wave to actually crash in on there. On the bot side, Blondie and Rel going in for heavy exchanges. The stun can come in from the crafting gun from Blondie, but no, we're just going to keep it at the safety right now. We're just waiting. We're just going to keep the wave to what? We'll keep it frozen, which is a very smart move coming from them. CS is pretty cool. The only difference in CS is mostly in that top side, and we have to wait to see if Jarvan's going to be... I don't think he's going the AP route. I think he's just got in the Doran's ring for that mana sustain earlier on for these kind of trades, because he's gone for the grasp of the Undying essentially, and I think he will still be looking to go the kind of bruiser build that we expect a J4 to go. But look at Lee Sin, he's walking around the corner. He had walked over a ward, so Ide exactly knows where the blind monk is and he's going to respect it. But on the top side, Dust, very low on mana, his wave's in a very bad position. What can this Yorick do honestly here?
Yeah, and this Yorick's gonna be having a bad time, especially the Excellence knew that Lee Sin rotating into the mid lane because the ward on the banana brush. And Ite learning the mistakes from the game 2 where he got first blooded because the rotation from Reverie talent. And it's gonna really a good adaptation from Full Sense. It's not just the shocking pick J4 in the mid lane, but also the placing of the ward, the timing. They knew that Reverie gonna ganking early. Such a nice adaptation for the Thailand representative.
Absolutely, and Reverie does nicely help the wave get in topside, allows the reset coming in from Dust, makes sure that the wave's not in that bad of a position as it was currently over there. And over here mid-side, Ita is still doing pretty fine, pretty much even on CS with the Annie, and we have seen a bit of trade of jungle camps. The Silas picks up the Krugs from the blue side, while as you can see Lee Sin went up with the Wraiths instead. Reverie's still looking for this ganks against it. He's waiting for maybe the flag and try the flag. The drag gets used, but no, here comes the Timbers. The stun is there. Reverie's looking to the Sonic Boom, but no, he bides his time. Ooh. Hits it afterwards. The flash not in time for Mitai to dodge out of the queue from the Lee Sin. The follow-up comes in. First blood going to the side of Faerie Charm.
Again, with the gang to the Ite and the first blood, so I think it's just a little bit greedy for Ite because they knew He knew that Nikedes already have level 6. Referee obviously gonna be there for the follow-up gang, and also there is Q1. So really, there's not much that Ite can do, and he burned his flash also. Not having the flag and drag, maybe I can see right now what is the idea of this J4 after the stun. They can buffer the stun, but wait a second, because there's a gang on the bot side.
The dive over here on the side of Dust, and the Solar Maiden was actually getting procced as well. It's a very successful dive. The kill goes over to a couple of blades will be going to the side of Full Sense, and this has been pretty much the story whenever Dust has been left alone on lane. There's a lot of dives always coming out throughout this entire series. He's being used to force his TP to come back into the wave, and he's dragging this wave towards himself, keeping it far from Nikodesu, being careful of maybe Reverie coming in for a repeat gang, because he knows the Jarvan doesn't have his flash.
And again, for the third time in a row, the first Drake is gonna be taken by Full Sense. They really like the Drake tempo, and this is something that FRC cannot manage to figure after the early gang to the Drake. So I guess they got the first blood, that's alright, but again, the tempo on this mid to bottom side is already being controlled by Full Sense.
Yeah, Full Sense is dictating a lot of this place. Reverie looking to pick up grubs. Yu Yuzuki just trying to be a thorn in his side, but he picks up a majority of that camp for himself. But look at the wave top, right? It's always going to be towards the side of J4. It's hard for anybody to walk over, and that's exactly why Faerie Charm instead choose to pick up the trade of the grubs for the Drake. And you can see Skyrim War was used to know where they are, but Silas in the meantime will be looking to take the red buff away from the side of Reverie, and yet again respecting that they don't have any vision topside. They know the grubs are being taken. It's going to be hugging the bottom side of his river.
Yeah, and again, Few with another successful infeed into the bottom lane. They also knew where is Reverie at, because this ping ward and the pressure into this bot lane is gonna be massive from Full Sense. There's actually a movement from Zavaski and Q1 trying to salvage this bottom lane, but Blondie is really uninterrupted in the farming on the both side, and Zavaski trying to get a crash down, and there's follow up, and Jarvan, the ID is there, and the Stolen Solar Flare hasn't been committed yet. The flash, the double flash from the both Q1 and Zavaski, and I think Full Sense gonna be satisfied with that.
Full Sense gonna be satisfied that you got a lot out of Zavaski, got both his summoners, but Nikodesu is coming in for maybe a Tibbers. The flash stun connects, the Tibbers lands afterwards, but the Affiliate Solid follows through. It might also be on the chopping block, but here comes Yuzuki, still level 5, no magnetic storm. Ooh. But Blondie has been left untouched, and Blondie is doing a lot of damage. He's gonna get the kill onto Lunia, double kill. The blasting plant might allow Annie to escape. That's exactly what's gonna happen. So at the end of the day, it's gonna be a 2-for-2 in that bot lane exchange. Oh,
yeah, and as Full Sense, they will take it, but Yu Yusaki playing too far away and trying to give this life to Nekodes, and it's valid. In the end, it's gonna be 3 against 2. But look at Blondie, the double kill that he got, and the plating again. This Aphelios gonna be snowballing really quick, Madness.
Yeah, the Aphelios is looking to be snowballing quite quickly. Picks up 2 kills. That's not something you want to be giving to Aphelios in a lane against a Korki. Takes some time to say. You just look at this fight. The flash forward, the stun connects. He's not even risking the tippers early. He's just getting the stun out instead. But then the follow. This is also, if this was a magnetic storm from Yu Yuzuki, if he was level 6, this could have just been Blondie getting even one more kill to himself, and Nikodesu would not be allowed to get out. You can see Blondie even Yu Yuzuki uses the flash to actually maybe try and prevent Nikodesu using the blasting plan to get away. But after that, he's left in no man's land, and the kill does get picked up by Faerie Charm.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate because Aite also finishing his boots first, so there's no real damage from this J4 trying to salvage the situation after that. And this both side, I'm sorry, the top lane does with the Maiden actually dealt some damage to Excellence. Excellence didn't have the freedom that he got earlier, so it's a little bit better. But Q1
this is not the place you want to be as the Solar Flare is used. But actually, he does get out, but few comes in. The chains don't connect. The damage is that the Cataclysm is going to lock in the side of Reverie as well as Nico Nisu, but it's you getting locked in with them. They're not locked in with you. That's it. The mid laner going up, but Fuse not done. He's going to go on to Reverie on the other side, but he has to mix his escape. He even uses the smite to slow down the Lee Sin, and a fade away chains don't connect. And if that chain did connect, it might have actually been detrimental for him because the Annie was close by.
Yeah, again, I think it's because the problem with the itemization that Ita has. He only got the boots, the magic resist boots, and no real damage yet from this J4. And even though the Cataclysm is good, it's on 2. And but look at the replay. Few maybe getting this Leona, but it's taking them too long to secure only this Leona. And Max Referee with the nice double kick into the backline, and Nekodes, of course, gonna be really happy with the double stun in the Cataclysm, and there's no real damage that can be produced by the side of Full Sense.
Exactly, and even Silas had to burn the flash to get that Leona, who was the actual target of the start of that fight, to even close out onto you. Burning a lot just pretty much to get a Leona, which you thought was a free play, but she's pretty tanky. You are lacking a bit of damage, especially over there, because the J4 doesn't have that much. The Silas is still trying to scale up as well, but Blondie in the bot side being harmful to Zavaski, but top over here, the Yorick not looking so good. He's gonna get the slow actually, but the flash Q, the leap strike from Excellence secures the kill for Full Sense. They get another one into their tally, and it's looking pretty decent for them. They have around that 400 goal lead for them, but Blondie, you have to be careful. Look who's walking bot side to you. It's a Lee Sin who does have that dragon stick for him, and Blondie has to be careful. The ward jump is there. The stun, actually Blondie is going to be turning this on to the Lee Sin, but he can't walk further actually, because that would have been him maybe dying, because Kiwan was just out of the corner. He has to respect that, but them getting Reverie so low might prevent Drake from going, but no, they still Faerie Charm are attempting to get it for them.
Yeah, and if that Gravitum from Blondie a little bit quicker, maybe there's a double turret shot that gonna be punishing Reverie. But there's a nice decision from Blondie not to flash in, try to get killed to the Lee Sin, because already 2 players waiting to counter this Aphelios. And yeah, the Drake, finally FRC got themselves a Drake, Gemtech Drake, and it's gonna be a Mountain Soul. This game is gonna be really benefiting on the both of team, but if Full Sense manage to get this Mountain Drake, there's no chance for FRC to melt down this Jarvan, this Silas, and Jax.
Yeah, it's going to be hard on that note. Also, FRC are just one jungle camp or like epic monster away from getting the Feast of Strength. This will be the first time I think they will be securing it in a series if they do manage to obtain that. And first turret should be out of the picture. The bot side is going to collapse anytime soon. But look at this, the cavalry is coming from the side of Faerie Charm. Full Sense have to back away, and very nicely so. It's everything's on top of vision. The warding is being done pretty nicely. You already have a ward even towards the raids on the top side. And Kiwan's going to put his own deep ward to know where Ite is, where Few is, if a gank will be coming in. And it looks like maybe Silas wants to go for top side gank, because even the top tier 1 is on low HP mark.
Yeah, and this Excellence, he really cannot join team fight this time because he's been occupied by Dust, and Dust play really well in this game 3. Just making sure that Excellence cannot join team fight, but also a gang into the top side. Again, Few knowing that the top side is gonna be the strong side of Full Sense, and he equalizes it by getting Dust again, plus the turret number 1 on the top side.
Third number on top side, called it before. They're just going to go for this. This is a Jax getting fed. He's getting even more gold. If he gets another 750 gold just from this tier 2, that's going to be a lot. But he recognizes that Veski will be moving forward to this part. But Full Sense, more importantly on the other hand, will be denying the third jungle objective to the side of FRC. They will be taking this Rift Herald for themselves. As you can see in the Rift replay over here on the top side, this is before this gank essentially happened over there, where Dust has to burn his flash, but so does Excellence have it in his pocket, plus the leap strike gets that kill, and then this repeat gank here at the tier 1 turret. Dust thinks he's safe, he doesn't have a ward in that push, but you steal the ult, you summon the maiden, you get the turret first, and then Dust is left like a sitting duck. Not much he can do. He did not recognize that he was in a precarious situation and pays it with his life.
Again, the stolen made them really working a lot for few, just maybe trying to get some extra damage or just trying to tanking the first third shot, and thus again gonna be the target for the third time.
Oh, but this time a TP is coming in. Reverie is also close by. The Sunbolt does not connect. This Jax is very tanky. Gets a 3-man ultimate actually. Gets a lot of armor. It's going to be running away from Tibers that's chasing. And Few has been left alone. He ends up going down. Had burnt a flash actually at the end of the fight to maybe try and get a 1-for-1 maybe onto Dust. But unfortunately for him, he burns his flash in vain. And what looked like a pretty gang, maybe they were even anticipating from the side of Faerie Charm because FS has been putting a lot of pressure on the top side. So now this is the counterplay that they were looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no neutral objective yet for both team to take, but full sense again. A few are really unfortunate that Flash unnecessary trying to escape against 4 people. So again, this time FRC got the control, but with this Annie 1.3 gold lead against Jarvan, I still haven't seen the idea yet. If we see the we saw the Sinjo mid really working, the Zed mid really working, I still haven't seen the contribution of this Jarvan mid madness.
Yeah, that hasn't made the same impact that we expected from Itai because he has been doing quite well throughout most of the series. Not the impact the kind of Zinja put out, but on the other hand, Blondie's being pretty nicely fed. Excellence is pretty high up on the marks as well in terms of CS, in terms of kills, and Few with these stolen minions. He even has a stolen Tibbers if he wants to take it out anytime soon. And they're looking to actually go deeper into Vision on this side. Reverie taking his chickens, but it's in Vision. But K1's going to step forward. Some of the ping, they're still going to be waiting the push. I like the use of the Fog of War, and that's going to be a Leona getting targeted yet again. At least this time has the flash to jump over to the wall, to the pit of the Reds, gets out, but it's Excellence in the bot side. Is he looking to do a 1 versus 2? The counter-strike before he even goes in, pops his ultimate. But Reverie's just gonna W and jump to Nekodu, so you can't do much. But here comes the Tibbers. Yuzuki waits, allows Excellence to leap strike over to this way, gets in, and a TP was even burned from the Yorick. And this is before the tier 1 should be falling in the mid lane. They don't have a mini wave to actually claim it for themselves, and Drake's gonna be coming up anytime soon. You can see K1's going in. Here comes the sword where 2 people get actually stunned up. That's Excellence going down as well in this fight. A good Tibbers comes in, a lot of damage. Few chains connect onto Tibbers, not the kind of target. It is just dying to the turret on the other side, but Few still manages to pick up the kill onto Annie. The kick comes in, the Dragon's Rage is there. Blondie goes down as well, and in a turn of events, it's FRC getting their first ace in this series.
Again, full sense. Really can't capitalize this time. What they cooking is kind of overcooked because too much things that they have been spent and they stay just too long, and the perfect Magnet Storm actually to start the day for full sense. But look how this Annie bait he takes so far, so long against this Silas and the Evelios, and really FRC just have a much bigger damage at this point. And look at the lead on the top side is just gone from Excellence. So yeah, FRC, I think they played really well in this game 3.
And that actually flashed Dragon's Rage by Lee Sin was, chef's kiss at the end of that fight. He throws Few into Blondie, gets the knockup, prevents Blondie from actually getting away. So he gets both of them. So I think the Lee Sin doing good. Reverie is actually showing up now with the Lee Sin, and this is looking like Reverie being in his element. He's looking really strong. The Annie is really fat. Even has a Dark Shield with 8 stacks in it, right? And now the Malignant is completed, the Storm Surge. So there's a lot of burst damage coming in. Like we're talking about, maybe a slight overcook coming in. So on the top side, the stun comes in, plus the Tibbers, the leap strike for Excellence to try and run away. But where do you go? The smite comes in, and plus the Dragon Strike to prevent the counter strike. Excellence is going to leap strike yet again to a ward, trying to keep the distance, maybe die to turrets. You have to dodge the Sonic Boom. You're going into the wave. The Lee Sin will be catching up. It looks like Excellence just wants the CS at this point. Knows he's going to go down, going to take that extra goal for him. But in the meantime, Full Sense take the Atakan for themselves. On the bot side, a TP does come in from Annie. Annie doesn't have ultimate, but Yuzuki will be sacrificed. So what is still a decent cross-map play, because you do still end up picking up Atakan for yourselves.
Yeah, still Full Sense managed to get something for their trouble, Excellence, and this Blastcon actually few gonna get caught on their own blue buff and still managed to flash burn his flash, and really there is no real safe space for Full Sense. They got the Atakan, but the cost is way too high. But still, even though the Full Sense have a better scaling because they have the Aphelios and Silas on their team, but really, if FRC manage to get maybe 1 or 2 team fight like this again, they can shut the game down before it reached the late game that Full Sense won.
Exactly, and I think maybe Annie didn't need to TP and maybe just pushing the wave in the top side instead. But at the end of the day, you get 2 kills for yourself. You do end up giving up Atakan, which is unfortunate for them. But this is the first game where FRC had managed to secure feats of strength for themselves, and they're going to be happy about that at least, as well as them being a Drake advantage on top of Full Sense. So FRC looking and the best. We're talking draft wise, this is maybe the best draft we have seen coming out from him, and this is the best game we have seen coming out from them.
Yes, it really is, and they knew they have the team fight power, and again the lack of CC in game 1 and game 2 has been solved with this Annie and Lee Sin. Reverie playing really well with this Lee Sin. Like, I knew Reverie gonna be the initiator, the one who set up for this team, so it's just looking better for the side of FRC.
It is looking better for them. Kiwa is gonna go in to 2 members with the Zenith Blade, but that's about it. In the meantime, tier 3 on the top side is gonna fall. That's a lot of damage gonna be going on to it. But look at this. So you can see Yuzaki's looking for a magnetic storm. He's gonna maybe get all 5 members, but is it enough? The damage is there, but the Annie gets burst down as well. Cataclysm is still alive. Kiwan might go down. The Cataclysm is doing a lot of damage. Reverie just still about surviving. A triple kill coming in for Excellence, as only Reverie is the sole survivor for FRC in what looked like it was looking good for them. They were just not aware of that flank coming in from that rel.
Yeah, and they really did not respect the damage outcome from this Aphelios. Look at the 3-man Moonlight Vigils with the Infernum. Who's gonna be blessed, and even though they've got the redemption, and again the follow-up CC with the Cataclysm, and look at the Severum from the Aphelios, it's just really big out of damage, and the chain layer in CC Excellence, of course, is not on the prime position yet with his item. I think it's just Triforce for these checks, but it's really enough for Full Sense to make FRC stop their push.
And this actually puts them in a goal lead as well, right? You can see from the goal charts above you, they have now their own slight advantage, as well as Aphelios. Look at the items, look at Corky's items. Unfortunately, still it's just the 2 items, and Aphelios is just about to complete his own Lord Dominance, has the Last Whisper, has, you know, more critical strikes for him. And this was Yuzaki using that Rel ultimate really well. We've seen it in the mid lane fight as well. You had the Magnetic Storm, there was no follow-up, but this time a 3-man Moonlight Vigil plus the Cataclysm, you lock everyone in place. And look at this nice routing coming in from FRC. They're trying to walk in to the jungle of Full Sense. Yuzaki has to be careful about trying to place vision for himself. The big parts, the vision should be cleared out. But in the meantime, Full Sense look to be taking the Drake. No, they're going for the tier 2. They're going to give up Drake. TP comes in from Yorick, but this should be to his own death. Where will this Yorick honestly go? Here comes the Magnetic Storm as well. And that's bye-bye Yorick. I'm not quite sure what he was thinking with the TP play there.
Yeah, and I think Full Sense gonna be happy with that, because it's still soul point. It's not the soul yet, and they've got 3 turrets for their mass, for their decision. And even though, because the TP play for Yorick, I know that he tried to salvage the situation, but they underestimated the damage, and the trap has been set up now.
Trap is set up. The counter strike from the bush comes in. The flag and drag plus the solar flare buys some time, but a 4-man Cataclysm, but he gets kicked out instantly by the Dragon. But the damage is there. Blondie has been left untouched. Jax is being massive. A double kill already for the Aphelios. Make that a triple kill. This looks like GG. Only Dust will be coming up. The wave is, I think, healthy enough for all 5 of these members to go for. Dust has to manage the wave. How well can he do it? The Maiden gets spawned, but Excellence instantly jumps on the Dust. And as soon as Dust comes back from the Grey Scene. Yet again, he goes there. This is GG. This is FS taking the series 3-0, knocking out FRC, securing their spot against Inferno Esports in the finals.
From the graves they come, from the disadvantage they fight, full sense, securing their spots, trying to fight back against the Philippines representative Inferno Esports in the grand final after what a series. Wow, madness in game 3. We already believe that, wow, maybe FRC gonna give us game number 4, but no, just 2 team fight that they need, and 1 mistake from Dust really broken them apart.
And that's just knowing your macro really well, right? They know that it's going to be just soul point. It's not going to be soul like you pointed out. They're going to take the tier. And Dust, I don't know, TP didn't, maybe the last ditch effort play, he ends up going down. They get the tier 2, they get the tier 3, they look to go on Baron, they're baiting that out, and insane. I like how Excellence sets up the counter strike earlier on in the bush before he jumps in, before he gets the stun that locks people in place, before comes the flag attack, then the cataclysm, then the moonlight visual. It's just layered damage on damage on damage, plus the CC from the magnetic storm. It was just beautiful from Full Sense, and then that was GG. It didn't look like we were this close to the end, but Full Sense capitalized on any mistake FRC did, even though this was pretty much the best match they have played in the series.
Yeah, and kudos to Ite, because we really asked from the early like what this Jarvan mid can do, but the 2 last Cataclysm really cemented the team fight. And let's throw it to Abigail and Contra to break down this really great last game 3 for FRC against Full Sense. Take it away.
Thank you so much, my lovely babies, Madness and Manamo. I know, Contra, you have lots of things to say, but let me take a sentence first. I mean, the whole series of FRC looked like a miscalculation and decision making wasted away the opportunity to come back, man.
Yeah, and I do agree with the casters. This was already looking very much likely a game 4 angle already, because FRC, they did excellently from the early game to the mid game. You know, they set up great priorities. Reverie especially was playing out of his mind this game on his Lee Sin, where he's really setting up tempo, even despite them being forced into a vertical jungle between Few as well as Reverie. He's matched up the tempo. He's been able to kind of save the laning phase for that Yorick a couple of times, but the only difference is that the Silas actually get those leads for Blondie down the bot lane, so much so that this Aphelios is very hard to be punished. And on top of that, that surprise pick of the Jarvan moving into the mid lane, at first you think, hey, this is a genius plan. We've seen that Bruiser mid before, but this time I definitely think that Nekodesu knew exactly how to handle the situations. We've seen a lot of active dives, and Reverie so far has so many incredible work. But then again, what was that teleport in that late game? That teleport, as well as the decision to take that dragon, was unnecessary, because it wasn't so pointless. Yet again, like, sure, they want to get the advantage for them to eventually secure soul. I understand that scenario, but it was not worth risking maybe having your inhibitor being broken at the same time. T2 was undoubtedly going to be taken with that kind of approach. They did not defend, but when they decide to defend, that TP was so costly to the point that, sure, Dust kind of gave his life up for it, and then they had no vision in their own jungle. They know that, hey, maybe they're setting up for a Baron, but then again, they went in phase checking, and that was to their own doing. So that was perfectly calculated from the side of Full Sense. The 2 fights is the most pivotal one, especially the one over the top side, which I also do think they kind of overextended it a little bit, despite them expecting retaliation coming from the side of Full Sense. It's just that they all got clumped up. So you got this perfect execution of Ite as well as Excellence working together to really got them all stunned in one location.
Yeah, even though Yorick already did a very good job back then on the top lane, because yes, he got pressured by Jax, but he still managed to find some friends.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of all these traction where they've been able to, you know, gain a couple of all these leads. Despite that, I do think that it's been rather impressive that FRC this time really showed so much composure. It's just that they gotta really fix some of all these kind of decision making in order for them to become a better team. I mean, all in all, you know, FRC, these are lobby demons in your solo queue ladders, in your flex ladders, and they're going up against Full Sense, who's an established organization in general. They still put up a really good fight, so that, to me, I really do commend that. But overall, Full Sense, their whole game plan was really to have this beefy front line all the way up front, and you create that space for Blondie, and they kind of play towards the end game where this Aphelios really shine bright. So we go into some of all these clips that we have, and this dive was perfectly calculated with Nekodesu sending the timbers, and look what Reverie does. He holds the Sonic Wave for that flag and drag for them to secure it, but when they go in for that lane swap, that's where we start to see Dust getting punished. So I guess that really opened up the lead for Blondie to skill up ahead.
Yup, and I think this is also very good for FRC to, pull out a big fight on the mid lane, and they also won it, and that opens a big opportunity for FRC to steal a game from Full Sense.
Yeah, and not only did they actually conducted that excellently, they also had that bottom lane fight, which we just saw, which was great initiation coming from Nekodesu. And this is also another fight that was initiated by the side of Neko, with the TP coming in for them to also get themselves a little bit more safety net for Dust, and eventually they start to build all these big, massive ultimates. And then I will pause this for a little bit right here. I mean, this is where they've been able to find a beautiful angle up against Savasky. I mean, you can already see two sectors right now. I'm going to split it into two. So you have Ite right now, whose job was to take out Savasky since he's already that low. But the problem is his teammates were all too far separated. So you have another line right here, which actually sees the rest of all these members of FRC to be able to just propel forward. So it becomes a little bit harder for them to even defend themselves. So by having this kind of execution, they come up with the better trade by just sacrificing Savasky for them to actually manage to play this out perfectly. So just like that, I think like FRC was already building onto something where most of the other members have been able to really make up a big play. And Reverie on the Dragon's Rage was just so well done. He kept it to the last minute. And then you have this one. I'm going to zoom this one real in quick. I mean, zoom it out. So now watch what happens here. They all disperse, and then you have a very, very timely execution of the Cataclysm into the Counter-Strike. Chef's kiss. That was amazing from the side of Excellence and Tate.
I agree with that, because that Cataclysm just locked 4 players, and that leaves a very big space for Blondie to just get a free hit situation. And this is the final moment of FRC that we kind of questioned why you have to do that teleport.
Yeah, I think like sometimes when there's just too much going on in the game, you can really felt that they were making some desperate measures in order to really form something in return. But all his teammates was taking the Dragon. I mean, realistically, if you've already know that, okay, you gotta maybe let go of certain objectives, the best way for him to TP is maybe to the inhibitor turret instead, so that you could still find ways for you to stall and maybe open up your ultimate than to, have yourself being stuck underneath 3-4 members of the side of Full Sense. So Full Sense, I think like they've definitely played it in the most stock standard way possible. They just look for those big team fights in the form of execution, and that's pretty much about it in a sense. I mean, FRC, this is their debut into the pro scene, and I think they've definitely shown some great strides overall throughout the group stages. Definitely a lot of pressure moving into the semifinals, and in this game 3, they were giving us, or even the rest of Full Sense, a run for their money.
Yeah, and I really love to see, these two players, these two teams are playing towards each other. A Full Sense, really shown out that they still have lots of interesting things under their sleeves. But on the other hand, FRC, it is very nice to have them, to be honest, because it is very good to see how Nicolas and the Stellar plays with a very different kind of tempo, and it's very beautiful way for FRC to play with the referee as well. And welcome back to our casters, Madamo and Madness. I know you also have lots of something to say for regarding the last game of today for Full Sense versus FRC, but still, I also was thought that this is going to be another game for us. It is the fourth game for Full Sense and also FRC, because they really took, a pulled out a big fight and wanted, and they just turned back the tide towards a Full Sense madness.
Yeah, but I think this is what we're talking about, like the experience coming in as well as that macro play at the end. Like Dust makes that mistake, they capitalize it completely, right? They know Drake's going down, it's just soul point, you're not getting soul. You make the correct plays at the correct times. Even if you're behind, you can still come back in a game like League of Legends. That's exactly what they did. And this just shows you that there are going to be quite a bit of competition for that final tomorrow. And their draft is something that has got me excited. Like after a long time of seeing like drafts of like, the very same things here and there. But we're going to see a J4 mid this game. We know it might have been slightly overcooked in his performance earlier, but the Cataclysms later on though. Cataclysms later on did a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that. That Cataclysm was very beautifully executed. I mean, they just waited the very right time to put that Cataclysm just in terms of long four champions, opening a very big space so Aphelios can, just being so lethargic, dropping his bullets towards the players of FRC Manabo.
Yeah, and I think it's really unfortunate, for FRC, because if the situation can be changed, is this game 3 is actually the game number 1. Maybe the state of the mind, the mentality is gonna be whole lot of different, because it's a close game. But the game number 1 and game number 2 was just a really storm from Full Sense. And yeah, I think I'm gonna be excited if we can see more from FRC, because this guy really shows the growth, the potential that they have. If they play a really, really correct draft, they can do a lot of things. And yeah, and just like Meta says, just the experience just said, and they need more experience. And yeah, we really excited for these teams.
Yeah, I'm also very excited for the next year. I mean, we have very respectful regions like HGMY. Indeed, they are strong, but still almost will never be enough to make you secure a spot in the grand final. But on the other hand, it was a very good match to watch too between the Full Sense and FRC. And sadly, for FRC, they just could not score 1 point towards the Full Sense. And Full Sense indeed showed us a very strong point, a strong statement that they are very ready for tomorrow's grand final to get a revenge towards, Inferno Esports Contra.
That's right. Overall, I think the player of the entire series right now is Excellence. He showed no signs of flaw. Every single champion that he was on was dominating the top lane, making it really felt like a lonely island for Dust. And overall, those final couple of fights with his Jax was just immaculate. We talked about the counter strikes. We talked about that Mbessa maybe seeing some struggle, but no, he went undefeated until that very final moment where they dive into the base. So that being said, take a look at the KDA. This is undoubtedly one of the best top laners that we have in our entire circuit.
Yeah, even though his damage percentage is just 22%, I mean, his presence on the top lane and he always managed to win his lane is already awesome enough to talk about. And not to mention how Excellence always open a space into the start of the fight. But now we have to move forward to the bracket stage, because the grand final that is set tomorrow will be Full Sense versus Inferno Esports. I mean, we already got the spoiler yesterday about how these two teams will play, but this is going to be very different because we are going to use the best of 5 series towards these two teams, Manamo.
Yeah, and again, like Madness already saying, the draft is completely different for Full Sense, especially in this best of 5 fearless draft. So yeah, I think Inferno Esports really make a huge nose from today's match. So yeah, we just cannot wait for tomorrow.
Yeah, I will also be very excited for tomorrow. I believe Contra, Madamo, and Madness are even more excited with what's the outcome of tomorrow's grand final. And I believe you all in this live streaming, whatever region you are, will feel the same like us. But first, let me just close this live stream because we have to rest for the best of the grand final for tomorrow's matches. So I wish you all a good night and see you tomorrow.